beers, so hopefully that's enough.
I brought the whole bottle.
There you go.
I got 8 beers with me.
Somebody check the feed for me and make sure it's working.
Check the feed.
I got nothing yet.
This means I have to make
What's Facebook?
I gotta make my own Google account now.
I'm on my Google account, but it still shows up as Martha's computer.
It's showing Martha.
Sure.
I can remain Jessica. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
it's alright.
I got no live feeds going here.
No?
No.
Mike?
I'm more upset that I had to introduce myself to Danny. I'm kind of more upset about that.
You didn't know each other?
Yep, Danny.
Yeah. How's it going, guys? Oh wait, yeah.
We have 0 viewers.
Listen, this is going to be night and day better than it was last week. I can guarantee you that.
I'm counting on that, Bill.
All right.
Audio's great.
It is good or no?
No, it's just on somebody's computer also.
I'm
Jeff,
not
are you mad at me, Jeff?
Am I mad at you? No, I'm not mad at you.
Hey. I would be.
All right, we're going live on Instagram. Holy shit, we got enough stuff going on here.
Oh, we can't even with you.
Oh, we got a Herm.
Hey guys.
What's up?
Have any edibles there, kid?
Got some in the cabinet, not inside of me.
Bright-eyed bushy tail right now.
Yes, sir. I'm out of beer, and we're on quarantine, so I got a Wild Basin sparkling water.
Where's the whiskey?
Don't have whiskey either. We got some tequila.
There you go.
I actually had to have my dad deliver beer to the house the other day, and I quarantined the beer for 6 hours until I could drink it. But he came over and had 2 extra 30 packs. So it was like Miller High Life and something else. I forget what it was, but I'll take anything.
Classy quarantine.
Yeah. We've been bartering during this time.
So you guys do this live on Facebook right now?
Are you watching it now?
Hey guys, was I doing what?
You watching it live on Facebook?
Yeah. Just trying to see what I was missing. It was just getting me all bound up, so I just hopped on.
What's up, you pickle smoochers?
Chopping on over there.
This is dinner. We got a little bee-harv ground venison.
Nice.
Is everybody ready for the big reveal of my campsite? Everybody ready? Nobody cares.
Are you camping right now?
Look at that. What do you got on that shit, Jim? You see that?
Where's your cheesy background, bro?
I'm in my basement.
No way, that's your basement?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, brother.
Freaking sweet, man.
Yeah. What's up, boys? How's everybody doing tonight? Good. You?
Pretty solid.
How are you now? Good. I'm good. Yeah, nothing's really changed.
Nothing's changed.
Were you sick?
No, I'm good. Everything's good. I think can you guys check the live feeds? Everything's going on Facebook and Instagram. I see no live feed.
I haven't looked.
I have the Facebook one up and running. It looks a little wild, but
what does that mean?
it's going.
What's wild about it?
It just keeps switching screens like crazy.
Well, yeah, because people are talking.
I see you're live, Billy. Are you on Pertinier also?
I'm on Pertinier. I got quite the setup going. My Chevy Silverado's got my laptop in it, and my phone is looking at my laptop, and that's how we're doing Instagram. I think that's pretty high tech, right?
For sure. Direct streaming.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna do Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We're gonna do them all.
Oh, man, yeah.
What the and I have my podcast recorder right here, so we're recording this as a podcast as well. So
Even better.
That might get our engagement up to like 7 or 8 people.
yeah, I figure if you have every possible medium covered, then you're getting it.
Air Max, I just sent it to like 4 people, so that might be 12.
That's cool.
My-
Hey, Don, just before we get started, Don, some feedback from last week. I heard that you laugh too much, and when you laugh, the video goes to you. So try to control yourself if you could this week. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll just be a giant asshole this week. How about that?
Yeah, stone face.
Well, I already am feeling, like a little bit more buttoned up. I wear my button-up shirt.
Is there trout on it?
Yeah, there is some fish on it. And I just felt like, like I had to like have it this week. I feel like you were really putting me out there on this one.
I am. Yeah. So the deal today is that I'm gonna do some introductions, and then this is Danny's show. Danny's gonna run it. So for some of you guys that are on here don't know each other, so I'm gonna kind of go down the line and just introduce everybody and a little bit about who you are and why you're on here. And today's topic of conversation is going to be fishing, primarily trout and salmon fishing, being that those 2 seasons are opening up next week here in New York. So on the video today, we've got Rob Herrmann. He's with us again. He was on last week. Rob is an avid fisherman and also a freelance photographer, does a lot of outdoor photography stuff. And Rob he's from the Ithaca area, but lives in Denver, Colorado. So what's up, Herm?
How you doing?
Good. And everybody knows Jimbo. We got Jimbo on today. He's just like me. We don't know how to catch trout or salmon, so we're hoping to learn something today.
It's my
Jim?
least favorite subject is fishing, but we'll hammer down. Maybe I'll learn something.
Yeah. What are you feeding tonight, Jim?
BV.
Ooh, straight BV, or you got squirt?
I got some cokers to mix it with,
Squirt.
That's the expensive BV too. That stuff's aged like 9 years.
For your 8 years.
Nice. All right, then next on the line we got Zach Eason. So Zach he is also a New Yorker. Zach and I played baseball together at Finger Lakes Community College, and Zach is a huge outdoorsman, everything from hunting to fishing, and recently just got his guiding license and started a business. I believe it's Blue Line Guide Service. Is that right, Zach?
Blue Line Adventures Guide Service, yeah.
God damn it! If I had my cell phone here, I would have gotten that right.
Danny would have had that one.
Danny would have had that.
Yeah.
It was. And so, Zach, what are you drinking?
Larceny.
That's an interesting name, alcohol, for a guy who's a cop as well.
That looks like that's been done drank, not really being drunk right now.
Well, I mean, it's
Been done, right?
yeah, it's been there. I got a bit left.
Thanks, Jessica. We appreciate it. Next on the line, we got Jeff Jones. So Jeff Jones is also, it's kind of a theme here. I played baseball with everybody. So Jonesy was one of my best friends growing up. Went to high school together, played college ball together, as well as with Zach. So the 3 of us played together at Finger Lakes. And Jeff currently lives in the Rochester area and he's probably one of his biggest passions and hobbies right now is fishing. So they're fly fishing for trout in the streams around the Rochester area. So Jonesy, what's cooking? And what are you
Not
drinking?
much, man. Thanks for having me on. You got some Jenny Cream Ale here. Hope you guys all can see that. So, yeah, excited to be on, talk some fishing.
Absolutely. That stuff makes sailors' farts smell terrible.
Jenny
And
Cream
better than normal.
smooth and clear as the waters of the Genesee.
Mm-hmm.
What, your farts?
That's like
Beer.
some good old Jenny water,
I'm feeling so many Jeff Francoeur vibes right now from Jeff.
Can you explain where these
Just-
vibes are coming from?
Yeah, kind of, the look. I think the outdoorsman-ish, It's just like, I don't know him that well, so I don't know if I can really go ahead and say something like that, but I'm
No,
gonna...
you're good, dude. No worries.
Okay.
John,
All right.
I feel like Jeff or Donnie, I feel like you have some Jeff Francoeur stories that you love, and I feel like there's some good Frenchie stories out there. I can't grasp them, but
Are you...
nothing. Okay,
No, okay, yeah, all right. were you fishing for something there?
I was fishing, but as we discussed, I'm not a good fisherman, so I didn't.
Not very good at it, right?
No. All right, Donald, we're up to you. Donald was on last week. He is my brother-in-law. We also played baseball together. That's how I met him, and then that's how I met my wife. So that's enough of a love story. And so Donald is used to be a Denveronian, and now he is back here in the Rock and living in Rochester and trying to figure out how to catch trout in the Rochester area. So Don is a pretty accomplished fisherman from Colorado, but trying to put it all to work here. So, Don, what are you feeding?
I got some extra aged kombucha. On some rice. I'm just kidding. I am feeding some Yingling.
Oh,
This has been aged for 190 years.
It's America's oldest brewery. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's a fact that we like to share about Yingling.
Yeah.
They're so good.
All right.
It's got a nice can. That's why I'm drinking it.
It's a beautiful can. Got a nice can. Danny boy, speaking of cans, what's cooking, buddy? Have you left that room since last week, or is it pretty much just DEFCON 5 over there?
Surprisingly, when you open the door, it doesn't stink in here, which I don't know. I'm doing something right, I guess, but
Either that or you're used to the stink, one or the other.
yeah.
What happened to the? I see that you got your ironing board folded up over there. What happened? That didn't work too well as a desk, or what?
I got approval to move to the window seat, so I got a window in front of me now, so I can at least look outside during the day while I'm in this room for 12 hours. So it's a pick me up. It's a big pick me up during my great quarantine.
Yeah, you're putting your outdoors.
Yes.
You are. You're burning your outdoors. You look outdoors. Speaking of quarantine, how's everybody's quarantine life going?
Played golf today, so it wasn't too bad. Fishing tomorrow, so it's not too bad.
Sounds like a good
My
life.
wife's been home with the kids for the last 5 days. That's not so good.
I've been at work the last 5 days.
Daddy's been working. Yeah, you said it's been pretty wild, Zach, right? People are kind of freaking out.
I don't know. It's gonna get worse, I feel.
Yeah.
It really is.
Before it gets better.
Yeah. You're gonna keep people penned up, and they're gonna get squirrely, and that's pretty much what's gonna happen.
They're squirrely enough up there in the 315 as it is.
You got the Redfield, the Altmar, the Orwell, yeah. So what are you not pulling people over for, right?
What exactly can we get away with?
Yeah, pretty much everything.
Oh, green light?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's the green light, but it's don't want a lot of people contact sort of thing. Yeah. Today was the first call I heard on the radio where someone actually announced to wear masks before people showed up. So that's something new.
Yeah.
A little unnerving.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely is.
All right, I'm done, Danny. Floor's yours. Let her rip.
Let's rock and roll. I want to start. I want to get everybody's background on how you actually got into fishing. I know there's gonna be background stories on everybody, and I don't know a lot of them. I don't think anybody knows a lot of them. So your background, how you got into it, and then maybe like one of your current favorite things, favorite types of fishing, what you enjoy doing the most when you're out on the water. Rob, let's start over there.
All right, I got to lead off, huh? Well, I grew up on Cayuga Lake, so that was a big part of my upbringing. Really, like we had a pond in the backyard, we had a cottage on the lake, so really like summer times I spent down on the dock from the time I was super young. And I wasn't a great swimmer, so I almost drowned a couple times. So I would get sinker.
Hold on a minute.
Get sinker.
Hey,
That's
Little
your
man.
delivery.
nice.
I like it.
That's
Train them young.
Jesus.
spin fisherman, and then my grandpa was a big fly fisherman. He lived in Virginia, so I learned a little bit when I was kind of 10 years old, and like every time I went there, you know, he was making me cast and going out and fishing and stuff. So kind of did a mix, and then when I moved to Denver was really when I got hardcore into fly fishing. It was nice to get back in it, but now I do a lot of photography for guides, so like I've seen a lot of the best waters with the best fishermen and been super spoiled with that. So, you know, I've gotten to learn the rivers from a very unique angle. And really my favorite fishing now is going out anywhere away from a crowd and hopefully you get spine on. Hopefully, I know, slaying some hungry trout. But I really like hiking the fish. That's one thing I love about Colorado. Is a lot of the places we go, it's a few miles into the river, so that dedication usually cuts down most of the jackasses.
How often are you actually out there at this point, Rob?
I have been once a week since the whole Corona deal's been going on, but usually I try to get on the river at least twice a week. And a lot of it, like a lot of the companies, I work with some brands also, so a lot of the companies, like I can be basically working in a way, you know, trying to get select photos while I'm out there. So it's pretty cool.
I'm going right to left on my screen. So Zach, how about you?
My grandfather had a big part of that when I was younger. So did my father. My dad hunted obviously a lot, and my mom's dad, he was alive. We fished everything from panfish to trout, and when I was probably 8 or 9, we got into the salmon and steelhead and brown trout game. That was my first love before deer hunting. I mean, obviously I'm very fortunate because I have the Salmon River right here in Alaska, 20 minutes from my house. And the Oswego River's 5 minutes from my house, so it was chase perch, chase crappies, chase walleyes, and then steelhead, brown trout, and salmon. There's always something there. You know, there's always, season-wise. I've always wanted to get a guide's license. You know, my father passed away last June, and he was always like, "Yeah, get your guide's license." So I said for myself, when I did that, and I told my wife, "I'm gonna get my captain's license." So I signed up, I did that, and started a business. And I love float fishing steelhead. It's one of those things that steelhead you get too many hobbies going, and kind of pick what you love. I love perch, I love crappies, walleyes, and trout. So they're fun, but like I said, you grow up on the Salmon River, and it's king season. It's fun when it start coming in the river, but it's after a week of it, you're ready for that first steelhead to show up, or that first brown to show up in the fall. It's just that's what I love doing. And now I'm waiting on crappies. I love fishing crappies. My wife, same way. She won't come out in the drift boat with me, but she's waiting for the first crappie bite, and she'll be game to go for that. But it's like I said, I'm pretty fortunate to live where I live up here.
What do you catch the steelies on?
Right now, they, like I said, they're doing egg take. They started egg take quite a few days ago, more or less an emergency egg take at the Salmon River Fish Hatchery because of all that's going on. They want to get it done. They stocked kind of early. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. But right now, once they start coming back into the river system and start headed back towards the lake, beads will work, pink worms will work, egg sacks, obviously. I fish brown eggs, I fish steelhead eggs. Guys bottom mount stoneflies, egg patterns. The fly guys do the same thing. I like fishing beads and eggs. I'll fish eggs right now, but beads right now are pretty good. Single eggs, because all the steelhead, they're dropping their eggs right now. So yeah, it's go time, and it sucks for a lot of the businesses, the guys who full-time guide and captain, because they're not making money. I know guys who've canceled trips in out to the end of April and May already. It's one of those things I've had a lot of calls on it, and with what's going on, it's the guys. I had a kid, called me the other day about a trip this week, and I just, unless you're local kind of thing, I just don't want to go out that, I hate to be that guy that, brings someone up from downstate or, and God forbid that happen, but you never know. It's tough.
That's tough. I know a lot of guides out here. I don't know how they're going to be able to make it work this year because it's just such an important time for them.
If this goes into the summer with the charter guys on Lake Ontario, this is going to hit hard. Because, I mean, there's guys with 80-plus trips.
Yeah.
And it's they run in doubles at the end of the summer and the fall. It's a big loss of income. It really is. And, I'm fortunate to have the job that I have, and this is like my retirement thing. And I try to fish. At least my wife is really good about it. It's been great with me. I try to row the river, once a week, if not two. But if I once every other, it just depends on my schedule and the kids. But I've been up there quite a bit, so I just love rowing the river. Salmon River's gorgeous. It's gorgeous from a drift boat. It's one of those things.
What kind of boat are you running?
Me, I have a driftwood. Adrian Wood built them. I was the first person in New York to build them. So I was the guinea pig. So when he built it for me and sent it up here, we had a lot of stuff with the paperwork. Oregon, you can buy a boat in Colorado, bring it back to Oregon, and register it for $90. Doesn't work that way in New York State. So
Of course,
all their bill of sale, their MCOs, they had to change everything to get it legit for this state. You brought paperwork to the DMV, they thought it was bogus paperwork. They've never seen anything like that before. So it was a lot, but it was worth it. His boats are great. Another friend of mine bought one. He's running. He's a full-time guide on the Salmon River. And then I've heard of two more that have been ordered out of New York State, which is cool. So he's getting some business out here. So that's great. He does a lot, obviously, out there on the West Coast. So.
Hey Don, does all this drift boat talk, does it make you go 10 hut over there, buddy?
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, Big Ten Hut. Big Ten Hut.
Oh yeah.
he had to put it on mute because he was breathing so hard.
Well, I was eating my burger. I got criticized for laughing too much,
Somebody's clicking a pen or something. That shit's driving me nuts over here.
In my mouth.
It's
Fucking Jimmy's nervous. What are you nervous about?
I'm trying to watch the Facebook Live feed so I can get comments and shit.
Then mute it. I've sent 2 messages to mute your damn freaking microphones.
You didn't let me know.
I feel like I'm on a damn conference call, Bill. I got a little mute your microphone in my corner. And I got enough people telling me what to do all day long.
Well, here you go, Danny. That's what you signed up for with this relationship.
Yeah, so.
Drift
We
boating.
got to put together like an Adirondack Creek fishing sort of expedition here. That's what we got.
Does that make you 10 hut, Don? Are you 10 hut over there?
Big Ten Hut, baby.
What's your? I want to know what are we looking at here? Are we walking in with canoes? Are we doing everything? Are we going from Lake Erie to the Salmon River to the mountains?
Paddling the whole fucking way.
What are you thinking?
Probably go to Florida.
There's a giant set of waterfalls that might prevent you from doing that.
Yeah.
Welland Canal, Don. Look it up.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, Jeff. I think we're on Jeff.
Oh, geez, are we? Yeah, I've been fishing my whole life. Grew up doing a bunch of pond fishing for bass. I'm in New York. There's a old farm pond behind our house, behind this cornfield, and would spend all day out there fishing with a buddy of mine. Most guys know from HFL, Sam Jones. We fished a lot together growing up. And then probably about 5-6 years ago, my buddy Ron got me into fly fishing. I was doing some small stream stuff with just some spinning gear, with some meps or worms or drifted minnows or what have you, and got me in the fly game, and I go all in, so I had multiple rods pretty quick. Jumped into the salmon steelhead brown game in the fall and winter. I got into the two-handed fly game also, so I got a switch rod. For those who don't know, that's you're swinging flies basically. Most like bait fish patterns, mainly trying to get an aggressive steelhead or salmon to kind of smash a fly on the swing, similar to fishing like a Rebel or a stick bait, something like that. So big into that. I'm with Rob. I'd like to just get away from people and try and walk a little bit. It's hard to find open water in our space, especially open good water in New York. Down where ours is not like up, where Zach is, where he's got miles and miles of water. So kind of got to search, but my job allows me to do that and get out multiple times a week for an hour or two to fish in the fall. I carried all the way through the winter. it's a close to freezing or above, and water's flowing, I'm usually in it if I can. So, two hobbies are just golfing and fishing. I don't do anything else. So, all in on the fly game. So, been tying my own flies for about a year and a half now. So, doing a little bit of that to add to the hobby. But now it's just kind of doing a little bit small spring fishing, spring creek fishing for some small stock browns and some native browns around here. But that's about it for me.
What's your favorite water?
Oh, I like Sandy Creek. I like to fish the Oak if you get it later in the year, towards December when people are out of there. It's usually good to go right as soon as shotgun season starts. All you Yahoo hunters are off the water, and we can kind of get some open space to do some good fishing. So be able to swing some water and some good flows. So
Billy's back in his basement by that point.
yeah, exactly. He's hunkered down, right?
Listen, Jonesy, I'm on a personal mission to get you out there with me.
No, dude, I told you I only am allowed to have two hobbies: golf and fishing. I can't add another one because I go all in, dude. I can't do it.
Can't eat them golf balls, buddy. Right now,
Yeah,
we're in quarantine.
That's true.
How far from the Oak are you?
I'm like an hour and 20 minutes. I usually fish it when I usually fish like late afternoon when I'm on my way back from Buffalo. I work out in Buffalo a lot, so I work out in Niagara County, so I fish the Niagara River. That's pretty crazy water to fish too. But it's fun to fish like the inside shelf and stuff like that. You can get a lot of fish in there, and there's strong ass fish in there.
I have not made it to the Oak or the Niagara, and I really wanted to this year. I've climbed
Oak was rough, dude. There was no low flows and not a lot of fish pushed in. So
guys out of West Virginia fished during salmon season, and they fished me a couple weeks ago, and they actually come to New York probably 6 times, 7 times a fall and winter, and they fish the Oak.
Yeah, the Oak's great. I do a trip a year. We've gone 2 years in a row now. I do Steelhead Alley for 2 days in the fall in November with Steelhead Alley Outfitters. Our guide's name is Dan Bennett. You guys look him up on Instagram. Real cool kid. Awesome fisherman. But we'll drift flies for a little bit, and then I'll get out the 2-handed rod, swing flies, or strip big streamers, and just try and get some steelhead to blow up on it. It's a ton of fun. I went tarpon fishing last year. I was supposed to go in a couple weeks when we go to Florida, but having a couple shots on a little fly that a tarpon is probably one of the coolest things ever. So I've done that too, and kind of bummed out to cancel my trip. For speaking of canceling, guide trips, Eason had to cancel mine out, which wasn't too good. But hopefully I can get back there later or next year and do it again. So that's a lot of fun. Salt fishing is a whole other game, man. It's nuts. So it's a lot of fun.
When you're fishing the Niagara, are you lower, upper, and how are you fishing that? Lower? There's a couple at our park's like a good entry point. Like you can walk down the side, and if the water's down, you can stand right on that shelf. You can fish up at Devil's Hole. You just gotta watch the water and watch flows and make sure that it's not jumping up on you. And then with my 2-handed rod, I can make pretty long casts and have a nice swing on that inside ledge. And there'll be fish hanging out. Lake trout are in there pretty much most of the year. Got smallies coming in the summertime. We'll hang up in there. So it's pretty fun stripping streamers for them. And, the big, more popular place is Devil's Hole, but I like going down there just because there's no one down there. I don't like standing next to somebody when I'm fishing. It bothers me a lot. So, but it's hard to find. So you kind of got to search for it.
We got to hook up in the fall.
What's that?
I said we got to hook up in the fall or next winter and go out there.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. It's fun. So you can have some big days. Yeah, US side. Yep. Yeah. It's the Lewiston Art Park is where it is. And there's a couple other spots that you can get down to. Devil's Hole is just a hike to get down there and then walk back up. I mean, you can see, watch videos on YouTube of guys getting stuck down there and having to climb over the ridge to get back up and get out of there. They're stuck down there. So you just gotta watch the water, that's all. You really gotta pay attention. It's scary. It's no joke. But it's pretty cool. And it's gorgeous to be down there in the fall, for sure, down in that valley.
Yeah. All right, Don Juan, what's going on?
Hey guys, I had to unmute that. It took a second there. Not much. I'm glad to go last year. Kind of listen to everybody else here talk about their experiences. Fished with a fair number of you guys. Zach, I haven't fished with you, but it's about pretty near everybody else been on the water with. And I'm usually reeling in like the least amount of fish, so that's always kind of fun.
Liar.
But you know, if there is actually anybody listening or watching this, I'm probably like the junior of the fishing group here. I probably didn't start really seriously until about 6 years ago when we were out in Denver. And I don't know, just like walked into a fly shop the one day and was like, oh, this looks really cool. And, you know, driving around the state, you see everybody in their waders and in these beautiful western mountain streams and creeks, and you're like, I want to do that. I want to stand in water and catch some fish. And so I went in and I just bought like a little Reddington, whatever, $100 setup, and figured I would just figure it out. I didn't know anybody else, you know, that could really teach me. And it's pretty fucking tough if you don't have anybody to kind of give you some hints. But it was really like, I think that was the fun, was like not having anybody that could like make you feel bad at it. Like you're just like, I'm going to be really, really bad at this for a while. And so you just kind of grind it out. And, you know, just little by little, all of a sudden, like those information floodgates open and you start to pick up some things. And that's when you really start to love it. So it took me a couple of years, but then I was like, wow, I'm never going to stop fishing. And then out west, it was like there was so much water. Then you just start looking at the map and you just start thinking, like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? You can go anywhere. You just look at anything that's public and you're just like, there could be a hole there. Let's just go check it out. It's just a great excuse to like spend a few hours on the road and spend a few hours standing in a river and just, you know, God's grace is you hold a fish at some point. And it was just, it was one of those things where it just became like truly like the best pastime in the West. And, you know, I think that like, and I think that can hold true here too. I'm finding it like now that I'm back, it's like, you know, a lot of people hunt. I don't. So it's like, well, what am I going to do to get outside? And you can go to a park and you can play with your dog, but there's still streams. And, you know, although the access isn't as high, you know, you can still get out there. So, yeah, I just kind of got into fly fishing, and I haven't really experienced with like really anything else. You know, there's some like bass pond fishing growing up, but, you know, so I've never really like, you know, it's a lot of like, Colorado's kind of taught me to kind of be the technical fisher that you need to be sometimes. So like little, you know, size 20 whatevers, and just kind of take your time and do his due diligence. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun just getting outside and doing that. So yeah, now I got to figure it out here. I don't know. Jeff, you talked about Sandy Creek, and I've been up there a couple times this week. You know, kind of like after work, some kind of late afternoons, and
Yeah.
it's a fun time to be fishing right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful outside. It's great. And there's not a lot of people out, which is nice.
What did you catch those browns on, Don?
So both of those browns were actually on like size 20 like midge patterns, which is stupid. I know like a lot of people are swinging big flies and egg patterns right now, and
that's awesome, Don. You need to apply Colorado to that.
yeah. So well, you know, I just kind of got the feeling. I was later in the day, and I kind of hit a couple popular holes that I think a lot of people had been through. So if there are fish in there, it probably had already passed up a lot of egg presentations and streamer presentations. So I figured I kind of had to go different. So I figured, you know, it was warm enough when I was fishing that there was some bug activity. So I figured there was probably some big bugs and some little bugs. So I just kind of had like a tandem setup, and yeah, just hooked into a couple that were kind of hanging out where you'd expect them to be hanging out. But
Yeah,
they
that's nice.
yeah, they took the little flies pretty aggressively, which was cool.
It's always nice to handle those little ones. Well, you gotta expect you to have been in the water a long time, so, you know, especially if, you know, they're just dropping back, they're used to what's in the water now, so, you know, you don't have to necessarily throw an egg in front of them all the time. They're eating midges and stuff like that, you know, 24/7, especially through the winter time. So once you start getting a little bit warmer, you start getting those bigger bugs. But Sandy's good for get a good smallmouth run too, end of April into May, and stripping streamers for those is a blast too, man. They get a bunch of smallies in there. It's fun.
Yeah,
Can you for us pert near fly fishers, can you
Sorry.
tell me what a streamer is?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get you one.
Pull that beat out.
I love show and tell. I love show and tell.
Yeah, Bill,
We got to get you guys up here.
slang term.
There's a streamer right
We got to get you up here and throw.
Yeah, I want to do something. I'm getting bored over here.
here. Can you see it? Pretty near see it?
You got back up with it a little bit.
Yeah,
What makes that a streamer?
It's just a baitfish pattern is what they just call streamers. So it's just
Doesn't look like an egg sack.
It's not an egg sac. It's it's called a carpet spider. YouTube it. YouTube it.
I've seen one of those before. A carpet spider.
Yeah, so streamers are just a longer shank of hook, and they're tied to usually
So I have
imitate baitfish or maybe
Yeah.
crawfish, but
I have it tied on a shank. If anybody can see it, I have it tied on a shank, and I have it just like a trailer hook on the back of it. So as it swings, fish eats it, whether it's from the face or whatever, you get caught, catches the trailer hook in the back. So allows a little bit more free motion of the fly that moves through there.
that articulated is nice. That's an
Yeah.
articulated streamer, Bill.
That's awesome. I didn't know. I've heard people talk, and that's the thing. Like you guys, it's
And
interesting.
that's tied by Jeff right here. I tied it right here in 28 rough for your circle in case anybody wants to know my address.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for putting that out there. We're all going to be standing outside your house trying to get you Corona tomorrow.
That's fine.
Like,
I'm okay. Like, down.
the glory of trout though is you can have like 20 bank fishermen and say the schoolhouse in Almar, and I can launch the boat at 10 o'clock, and they might do a few fish, but not touch any fish. My eggs or my beads or whatever rig I got or your shot pattern. It could just be for flow fishing wise. It could just be your shot pattern. You like literally just weight, depth, anything. It could be just off, minute, and they might
Small
not.
changes.
And I might launch the boat at say 10 a.m. and there's been 20 guys in that hole since first light, and I might come down and just start smashing fish. And it's one of those things with trout is, like I always say, like I make the joke, my eggs aren't the same as yours. So it's like whatever I might tie an egg sac with, or you might tie a fly with, your egg pattern, to Don's pattern, doesn't matter. He might fish a hole for 2 hours and not touch a thing. You might show up and in 2 minutes hook 3 fish. And that's the thing with the
Speed,
trout.
Bill.
Yeah. That's how it goes, man. That's why we fish. It's the hunt.
So, Jeff, you're talking about smallies.
Yeah.
What are the smallies running?
And typically, like, they'll start to push in late April, early May. Is when you'll start to really see them come in there. Yeah, dude. Come on. Let's do it. It's fun, man. They're mean, man. They're mean up in the river, too. They chase stuff like crazy. They'll eat eggs. They try and catch all the little fries when they hatch, or the little small fish when they hatch. And they just blow up my bait fish. It's crazy. It's fun.
There's guys who will run trips if they release water on the Salmon River.
Yeah.
Guys will literally go to Douglaston all summer long to fish small.
Yeah, that's all my. So the guy that we fish with in PA in Ohio, he's actually going to Michigan to work for Schultz Outfitters, guys who fly fish. Mike Schultz and Schultz Outfitters, and he's going to be one of their guides this year. And he's going to be doing smallmouth fishing and pike fishing all summer long, and that's like his favorite thing. Is fishing for smallies with big streamers and getting to chase and blow up on stuff in the rivers, and he catches some big ones. So check out Dan Bennett on Instagram. I'll text him and tell him I gave him a plug today on Pert Near Outdoors. So, but he catches some cool stuff. So
God willing, with all this stuff, I hope this summer when they do it, I'm going to do it in the drift boat as much as possible. Obviously,
dude, for sure, you got to be up there on Salmon River. You got to be crushing smallmouth up there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Guys run trips in the summer when they go release. If you can get the boat, you might have to walk the boat here and there because it does.
Right.
It drops down. If it's under 300, it's touchy.
It's like empty. Right.
Yeah. Some guys just they don't care. They'll whack the boat around. I rode it in 350. It's not that fun. It's fun, but it's not that fun. You're fishing.
What's your favorite flow, Zeus? Like, what's a good flow out there?
Well, this winter, I really have done good in 1200. At 750, some guys hate it. 750 to 1,000 is good. It seems every time I fish in 1200, there's just enough water where the fish are kind of spread out and in the pockets. There's more pockets to hold fish, so you can fish more. So when it's when it's low, it's under 500. The fish they'll group up in those deep.
They're all stacked. Right.
Well, the thing is all the boats are there, all the bank guys are there. Everyone knows that there's fish in those holes.
Yeah, you probably have to moor around those holes, don't you?
Yeah, and the thing is I would love to see some of the deeper holes in the salmon. After seeing how many fish are in the hatchery right now, it's silly. It's unreal. I'm at the hatchery, every other day. Go up there. It's crazy, but.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What you guys are getting all freaking mathematical here. What do these numbers mean? We don't know what this means. That's what this whole point of this podcast, education.
Sorry, man. So we're talking about flow rates of the water. So Salmon River releases water, so it runs at different CFS. So if it's higher or lower, like if Yoke puts a bunch of water and releases the dam, it might blow it out at 700. Like Cattaraugus Creek down in your guys' area in Erie. Like if it gets over 600 CFS, it is mud. It's blown out. It's unfishable. So different rivers can handle different amounts of water, and they fish better at different amounts of water. So probably Z said like 1,200, and it's dropping back from 1,200 to like 1,000. When those fish know water's going away from them, they kind of put on the feed bag and it'll eat better. So that's why, like, I fished Salmon River at 750, and it was dropping even lower. And when I was up there for salmon season, and the fishing sucked. Like, the water was super clear. There wasn't a ton of water in it. And they didn't have enough room for them to push up into the river, so they didn't push up. So fishing at that 1,000 to 1,200 water would allow fish to have more movement ability and stuff like that. So
turbidity. And Billy, turbidity is what they can see in the river. It's the visibility. If you look at it and it's mud, it's high turbidity. And the same thing with like Oswego. If it's above 5, a lot of times we won't fish it. You know what I mean? But when you go down to the Jenny, I have buddies who fish the Jenny, and they're fishing the Jenny in like 30 turbidity or 40 turbidity.
Mud.
It's literally the fish are used to it. They're used to it. How they fish it like that. The Jenny goes up to 200. You know what I mean? If Oswego gets to like 10, I won't even bother because that's too dirty for us. You know what I mean? So in the Salmon River is nice because it stays clear. It's cold water. It's gin clear, cold water for the most part. If you get, like Trout Brook or Orwell or whatever, they'll get some runoff below like the trestle, but not a ton. Unless it blows out, like Jeff was saying. If it goes super high, then yeah.
Well, that's like the thing. Like we don't have a ton of freestone water in our area, as in like our side of Western New York. Like up north, where he's got Salmon River is completely freestone. There's no mud on it. Where the Jenny is literally just a mud trench. That's all it is. So, I mean, if you get any type of water flow, you're just going to get all that mud release. But those fish are used to it, even though you don't like looking at it. It's not seeing, you can't really see what you're doing. You're getting snagged up a lot, but the fish are definitely more used to it. That's why a lot of people will go to like Oak Orchard and stuff like that has more of a cobble bottom until you get down into the frog water down just before the lake, or even like the Burt Dam. Fishing that area, it's a nice hard bottom. That's why you'll get people in there because it can fish longer. And people are kind of stack up in those spaces that get better on the fish.
Yeah. So one of the general rules of thumb is when the water gets high and dirty, you typically go big and darker. Is that kind of Zach? Is that kind of what you've seen, and Jeff, what you've seen is when that water gets high and those flows increase, you'll have to go a little bit bigger and darker.
A lot of times, yeah. I see. Until this year, it's funny. Until I started a business, I never really thought that way, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I've never really been that guy that checks the flow every single, like, the minute I wake up for work at 5 a.m. every morning, I check the flow of Dexter out of Watertown, Salmon River, Oswego River. It's a habit now. It's so weird until you actually start doing this and taking people fishing. I never thought about it. When I was bank fishing, I would not run a drift boat. Are we fishing today? Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to go up to the Salmon River. Oh, it's super high. And then you check the flow, and you're like, wow, it's really high. You made do with it. You didn't think, you know what I mean? You'd fish, the smaller creeks or smaller tribs, or you just did what you had to do. And now it's all like, all right, I have a trip today, or I'm gonna fish today. Now it's for like a purpose, if you will. And it's funny because it's like calling turkeys for people. I'd rather call birds than shoot a bird. I'd rather net a fish and tell you how to put your rod and fight a 10-pound steelhead than have a rod in my hand and catch that fish myself. It's goofy how pumped you get netting a fish when it's your boat and it's your program sort of thing, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Oh, for sure, dude.
It's crazy. It's just a different feeling when you have guys who are literally paying you to do, and they're not even paying you to catch fish. They know how it's Mother Nature, it's God. We have no say in that whatsoever. They're paying us for, setting up their stuff and bringing them and rowing, that kind of thing. If we catch fish, it's huge. It's a bonus. So it's a really good feeling. But it's now when you're checking it like that, it's a totally different equation, I guess. In my words, I guess you're looking at everything. Well, this isn't working, but you got to think outside the box too. Yeah, on tough days, I'll throw the most random stuff in the world. A salmon river, or in the spring when the water's night crawlers, a steelhead, that's still a trout. They're gonna hit that.
Smash them.
Yeah. You know what I mean? People will be like, "What are you?"
In the water.
Yep, exactly.
See, I think to me, there's nothing more intimidating than fishing big, blown out, muddy water on a river that I've never fished before.
It sucks.
If you've never
you gotta
been there.
stick to the inside, right? Well, you want to stick to me. I'm sticking to the inside bends, and I'm throwing, like, if I'm swinging flies or big stream or something, dark, not a ton of flash, because when it's that dirty, the flash doesn't really matter. You're not going to see it. Something with a big profile that doesn't look like a stick that's stripped in front of their face, and try and keep my fly when I'm swinging flies pretty broadside, so they get a good picture of it. Versus like having it come like tail first at them, like so they can sneak up on it. I want them to react to it. So me being a bait fish, making a mistake and crossing a big trout's face when he can just ambush it. Quick decision, reaction strike is kind of what I'm doing. Versus trying to slow drift something through there. I'm going to try and go big with a big fly and keep it above them and pretty low or pretty high in the water column. And kind of just slide it in front of their face best you can. You don't want to be underneath them. You don't want to be too deep.
If you touch a fish on a river like that and a day like that, anything you do, it's huge. If you
touch one, right? Yeah, exactly.
That's like you'll fish all day for a one hookup, and you're like, that's the best feeling in the world.
Right.
That's all that matters.
Don, that's one thing that Pat Dorsey is a big guide out here and like one of the doctors of the tailwaters, and he talks a lot about it. Out here, like, it's super important to know the contour because our water is like, we're not the huge water that you're drift boating through, but it's big enough water. It holds a lot of fish, and he talks a lot about how like the best high water fishermen are the guys that remember the low water river, because if you know where those pockets are and you know where the contour and the cover is for the fish, they're still going to be there. They're just going to be there in like a little bit of a different spread. And that was always like, I've gotten a lot better at absorbing the river when it's super low. And then when you go there when it's high, you still know where to go. You know what I mean? You still have a good idea of where the fish are going to hold. They're just going to spread out a little bit from there.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I was going to go, Rob, is because sometimes it will have those low water days where the fishing will really suck. Like the fish will be like hugging the bottom in the deep holes and everybody's hammering them. But that's like the best day to just go walk the river. Because then you can like kind of put those places in your brain. And I think I learned that out with you. Is like, when the river's hugging the bottom, you go out there, you walk, you can find out. All right, when this blows up, this is a really nice shelf. This would be a really nice shelf on this, whatever section of river to go and actually, present on. I feel like you'll never know that unless you go walk it in like its lowest conditions.
Yeah, and a lot of anglers also make the mistake of not trying to take that in. It's easy to fish the river how it is that day, but if you can actually learn a river, like I'm sure for you guys also, you're going to a lot of the same water, like learning the water and learning where fish hold is half the battle. And that's really, like I was saying earlier, like that's where I've been really spoiled getting to learn from some of the top guides out here. Is like Dorsey's been fishing this water for 35 years, and see a guy that knows the contour and that little crack and crevice that a fish hangs out in, like, that's just something that puts you from a normal angler to like somebody that's slaying. You know what I mean?
That's the fun part of it. Anytime my boat hits the water, I'm learning. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a whole different business when out of the drift boat in the salmon river, especially. It's high water. you look at spots with low water, when you're fishing high water, where I usually anchor, that's where the fish are. Because they're not going to sit, steelhead, they're not going to sit in super, super fast water. It's just not going to happen. So where I usually anchor my boat in like 750 and 2+ grand, that's where they're laying. So you got to push off the bank, and it's the thing is those holes are so spread out. And like I was getting to earlier, it's like I would love to just see how many fish are in these pockets in that river. You know, you can say like, oh my God, you're fishing a big hole in the salmon river, a big deep hole. Oh, there's 100 fish in there. Is there? I don't know. You go up to the, like I said, you go up to the hatchery, it's scary. There's so many fish in there, it's crazy. It's like Ontario. So it's you just wonder how many fish don't make it to the hatchery. And all these holes, you're sitting there for 4 hours not touching a fish. And then all of a sudden, like that, you pop 3 or 4 fish. What changed? Who knows? And how many fish have you literally thrown a bead, a worm, an egg sac by? It's goofy. And that's just it. If the high water fish, I mean, some guys absolutely love it, and some guys absolutely hate it. I don't know yet. I'm in between, I guess, right now.
Can you guys keep talking a little bit? I like the conversation of, so I'm getting into it and I'm walking a river. Maybe it's low, medium speed. What am I looking for on what's actually going to hold fish?
Slower salmon river, slower water. When in high water, it's tough for bank fishermen. You know, drift boat guys. If you can anchor, you can drop your float or bottom bounce or even throw a fly. You're right next to the boat. You anchor, the fish are just below you, so you don't have to do much. But bank guys can't touch those fish a lot of times when that water shoots way up. So if you're a bank guy, you're looking for little eddies. You know where that fast water is. That all of a sudden there's black water that pools up. You'll see like a whirlpool sort of thing. It's those pockets, like those fish are sitting in there, getting out of that fast water. It's just how it is up here.
Yeah, and for me, sometimes I think like a fish needs like literally like a bucket. It's just all they need to live in.
Yep.
So looking in that low water, I'm looking for any like little sudden drop and any little like contour of that lake or the river bottom where it drops off. And any kind of drop off, or even like sometimes like a big stone or a series of like big stones where you can break in the current. But honestly, like a 6-inch sudden drop can hold a big fish. You know, it doesn't need to be a shelf. Like you just have to be looking for like little troughs, little buckets, and little tiny contours. Because when that happens, that river, like I don't know what they call it, like the flow, I guess there's like a fancy engineering word for that, like the thermodynamic type stuff, that the speed completely changes. So you're just looking for little contours and breaks.
Yeah, especially in that low clear water setting, you want to try and just pick those little spots off, because even though you think that water is gin clear, that little 6-inch drop, what you said, Donnie, you still won't see that fish sitting in there. But he's there, you know. You don't always see him, you know. Half the time you don't. And I'm not really good at spotting fish, but some people are just amazing. I'm like, dude, I don't see that, but you're telling me there's fish there, so I'm gonna fish it, because you can see it, but I can't. So, that little change is all you're looking at. Looking forward, just a little, kind of, even if it's like a side cut, the spot, that I fish a lot, Powder Mill Park, is a small little creek. It's actually a Roundaquite Creek that runs all the way up. And we fish that a lot, and you'll get a lot of the undercut banks. The fish will just sit right along the edge of those undercut banks, and you can just walk down the whole cut and just fish the inside. But it doesn't have a lot of freestone. It's all mud bottom, so they kind of take reprieve under those sticks and those roots that hang out from those undercuts and just kind of hang out there. So it's all different on all the different waters. You just, like you said, learn it when it's low. It's always a good thing to do.
When you're fishing a new river, you fish it multiple times, fish spots that no one else is fishing. Hit holes, hit behind that boulder. You've never seen somebody there, fish it. You might learn something. And that's like, full-time guides that I'm friends with who've been guiding this river for way longer than I've ever been on this river. They've said, when you're learning to row it, fish spots, you never see boats. And that's just it. You might save your trip for doing that. Like, seriously, everyone's fishing the same hole, same pockets all the time. Doesn't matter what flow. You see water, like, damn, I think a fish is laying there. I've done that numerous times this winter. We're on slow, cold freaking days when no one's touching fish. I'm like, hell, Drop a float there, put an egg tech there, and boom, there's a steelhead laying there, and you're like, that's not gravel. Why are there? There's boulders there. Why it's the transition area for steelhead? They're not going to lay there. They're going from point A to point B. They'll shoot through it.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're cruising. Yeah.
And then you're fishing, and you pop a fish, and that saves a day. Like, that's huge. So the biggest thing.
A lot of those fish are pretty aggressive too. You catch them in those short, quick drops. I mean, that's when I'm swinging flies. I'm actually fishing faster water versus those deep, slower pools because I want that aggressive fish that's cruising, just sitting behind a boulder, because they're the one that's going to take a swung fly versus one of them that's just going to sit there and suck on a bead or an egg sac pattern. So I try and it depends what I'm doing. If I'm going for a drift fish, trying to pluck one out of a hole, go to the slower water. If you're looking for an aggressive fish, stay in that fast and try and find a rock that's cut in or slide one into a cut or an inside seam that the fish sit there. You just kind of figure out your own game, and it also depends on what you're doing, also. So, there's a lot that goes into it.
Think outside the box, man. That's it.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I like to throw something.
It's the same thing with deer season. Do weird shit. Do shit no one else is.
Throw something no one else is.
I'm glad you guys brought that up because the other day I was fishing around at Coy Creek in Linear Park, and it's like the same holes everybody throws in. I was like, fuck that. Like, there's got to be a fish holding here. And, like, sure enough, there was, like, a nice 18-inch brown, like, holding, like, in some kind of, like, in the pocket water where you think, like, when you look at a river and you think, like, I bet a trout lives there right now. A trout is there right now, Like, there's a really good chance it is, and if you present it the right way, like, you'll catch that fish. And I don't know, like, Rob, you're really good. I don't know if you can talk about, like, your technique with, like, once you know a fish is there. You're one of the best technical fishermen I've ever fished with. Like, just kind of like, what is your process when you present to that fish?
I mean, I'm mute here. A lot of what I've been taught from some of these top guides is really like observation is so big. Out here, obviously, we have a lot better sight fishing opportunities because most of our water is like gin clear water. We got a lot of overhead sun, whatnot, but the clear water just gives you a good opportunity. A lot of the things that they talk about are like watching direction, watching intent. So like if the fish is moving a good amount side to side, obviously it's a good feeding fish, but like how far they're moving. Also, a lot of fish, one thing that blew my mind when I first moved out here that Pat Dorsey taught me was a lot of the fish will feed off of one eye. And so these fish out here are super picky when they're in that clear water. They get a good look at the flies, and a lot of them will eat directionally one way. And so, if you give it enough time to watch a fish eat enough bugs, a lot of times you'll see, okay, he's tipping to his right, he's eating a bug, and he's coming back to his pocket. And so being able to see something like that and taking the time to observe it is a huge factor in catching that fish because they are picky, and for most of them, like for a good mature trout, your first 3 drifts at that fish are probably your best opportunity to catch it. It's just like a big buck. Like your first day on the tree stand is the best day to fucking kill that big buck. It's the same thing with a fish because they're educated, they're big for a reason. They're not the big beautiful sought after one because they're stupid. They're there for a reason. And so observation is a lot of it, and like just kind of watching the fish, seeing what their tendency is. One thing that I've had to get a lot better with is bugs. They're pretty picky out here, so they say obviously match the hatch. Like if you can match the hatch, usually you can get them to eat. That's one thing that Don, you were actually better with the bugs than I was. I feel a lot of it. Like I feel like I kind of learned the flies more or primarily before learning the bugs, which is probably the backwards way to do it. Like if you're doing it, getting into entomology is really cool because you kind of learn like, okay, this is what they want to eat, so this is what they should eat. But that's really a lot of it. One of the guys I got to work with his name's Matt McCannell, and he's a big fish hunter. He only hunts monster fish. And he'll literally, he'll watch the fish for 30 minutes before he casts at it and make sure that the one cast you get that's right in its kitchen is going to be the right one. And, that's not necessarily the way I fish, but to see somebody do that and like take the proper care into making the perfect cast and the perfect presentation, that goes a long ways when it comes to picky fish. And you know, like the way when you guys swinging flies is a lot different because you're trying to get them to like, you know, get pissed off and have that reaction where they just have to eat. And a lot of times little bugs, that's more like habitual. They see a little bug and they're like, oh yeah, I'll turn 3 inches to hit that and come right back. And that's your eat.
It's pretty cool you guys are fishing out there. If I lived out that way, it would be, that's my dream. One of those things. That would definitely be a fly fisher going out.
Yeah, there's some cool water to drift too. I fished in Colorado one day last week and there were already people drifting it. But
Oregon, Washington. I'd love to do an Olympic Peninsula trip one day. I know a buddy of mine did it a couple weeks back, and it's crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Dude, there's some really good floats. I'd like to do the Henry's Fork, or you know, up in Montana. There's so much good water to float.
I will have to say, like, fishing right now, one thing that you can take out of the equation is like dry fly. You know, when we would go out in Colorado, you'd have 2 rods rigged up. One like dry fly set up or a dry dropper, and then like another, you know, nymph rig. And you come back, you know, and it's like, well, you can trade your dry fly for a streamer setup, I guess now. You can go streamer and you can go nymph rig, and that's probably really your 2 options right now. I don't know. But it seems like it's, you know, this is like my first full season fishing back here, but it seems like a pretty sweet time. Like you got bait fish pushing up. You got browns that are coming up to feed on those. You got browns that have wintered over coming back out. You got steelies working up. You kind of got like a lot of different directions and a lot of stuff going on. It seems like it could be kind of, to me, it's like a little overwhelming to figure out, you know, what are you going to throw, what are you going to target, and kind of where you should target.
Yeah, it gets a little crazy for sure. But there's definitely some opportunity for some dry fly fishing once you get into May and stuff. If you go fish like Owaka Creek and stuff like that, there's definitely those fish, especially in Spring Creek, which is a little runoff shoot of that. They'll pretty much only take a dry because the water is like super clear because it's spring fed. So that's pretty tactical fishing up there. But you'll get some dry fly opportunities here and there, which is pretty fun. But yeah, I'm sure it's nothing like Colorado at all. You can throw a size, 10 stimulator in front of them and they'll smash it, because they'll think it's a grasshopper or something. But
Down
yeah,
like
they're not.
pulling the 3-weight out and getting fine with them.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. That's not happening here.
Bro,
But they will take a drought.
Just get the 8-foot noodle rod out and drift that night crawler, and it takes it all away.
Actually, that's a good question for you guys. What size rods and what rods are you throwing?
I run a 10-foot 4-weight for my standard trout rod, and then I have a 11-foot switch rod, and I have just a 9-foot 8-weight. That's all I pretty much run.
What brands are you working?
I have a Fenwick Atos as my 4-weight. I run all Allen reels. And then my switch rod is an Orvis Clearwater switch rod. And I have an OPSC schedule head on that. And then my 8-weight is an Allen rod. And I have an Allen Kraken reel on that. Yeah.
Zach, do you ever fly fish much out of the boat, or is it a lot of just?
I've had some interest.
Yeah.
Got a couple buddies up in Altmar who that's all they do, and in Altmar we have a fly fishing section there. I mean, it's fly fishing only. It's some of the best water on the river. It drives me crazy. I wish I could run a float through it. That's what it is. But I used to fly fish quite a bit when I was younger. I gave my grandfather back when I was, my teens. I fly fish quite a bit. I got rid of all my stuff. I wish I didn't, and I've just been. It's one of those things like you pick your hobbies. Like, what do you want to get? What do you want to do? When I would love to, if I was going to fly fish now, it would be those Adirondack, Tug Hill. It'd be rookies, or it'd be stockies too. But those smaller streams, a blast. I did it when I was absolute blast doing it. For steelhead, I don't know, man. There's nothing like seeing a float drop and watching a 10-pound chromer come 4 feet out of the water. I don't know. This is one of them things. I would fly fish the smaller streams in the Tug Hill area and in Adirondacks. So we'll see what happens.
So I got a question here. I'm asking for a friend, but if you have like a fly rod in a case and you've never used it, how are you gonna take that thing out and get it set up?
Well, I'll field the beginning of this question with some more follow-up questions. I don't know if you have time to reach out to your friend, but does your rod also have a reel with it?
Vernier.
Vernier. Okay, that's good. All right. You might be one of those 10-car guys, and there's nothing against that. I think you just kind of put like one of the bigger ends into one of the smaller ends. And then you just kind of keep doing that as you work your way up. And then you just run the string up through the holes.
So what's the second part to that?
That was pretty good. It was really to the point.
Jim, who are you directing that at? I need it. Let's address the elephant in the room. Is that at me or Dad?
No, that's at me because I have an LL Bean fly fishing rod in the cabinet back there, and I haven't even touched it since I bought it.
I will say that there is a little bit of an overwhelming feeling about, like, a lot of those rods will come with the fly line on it, but they won't come with a leader attached. And so a lot of times you have to attach, they call it like a butt section of a leader. You have to tie like a blood knot on there. And then from there you can tie like a loop knot, and then you can just get all pretty much leaders now come in like a loop-to-loop connection. So, I mean, that's just like, I just Google it. Like, tying a butt section to your fly line, and then, how do I attach a leader to a butt section? Because once you get that set up, and a lot of that is going to be dependent on like the kind of fishing you're doing. So leaders come in, that's like really where it varies. If like these guys they're fly fishing for steelhead, they're going to be running, 1X leaders, which I don't even know what the pound test on a 1X is. I'm sounding like a real novice here, but that's pretty strong. That can take a steely no problem. You guys happen to know what the pound test on a 1X is?
Is it braided line or what is it? Is it?
Well, you can get fluorocarbon
a weedless hook, or what do you put on there with a?
It's like 2X, like 5.5 or 6. I don't even.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet
Explore all winter, so it's kind of rough.
But I guess the point would be, if you're going to go hunt down big lake run trout, you're probably going to want a 2X leader that you could, at the least, that you could taper down if you're really in skinny water down to like a 3 or 2, or sorry, a 3 or 4. Or even, some people will go, I don't know, is Zach still on here? No, Zach is on here, but I was looking for Jeff, I guess. I was wondering what kind of pound test he runs on his.
Got to him.
Huh?
He blacked out the Jenny Cream Ales got to him.
Yeah, he did. Okay. But I mean, honestly, Jim, sometimes it just will say on the package, like, oh, this is a trout leader. Oh, this is a salmon leader. Oh, this is a steelhead leader. You just put that thing on there.
It depends on clarity, depends on the water. Depends how skittish the fish are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is. It's super. So like Jimmy and I and Danny, we just bass fish. I mean, that's all we've really ever done. So my trout fishing experience.
Throw 12-pound on there and you'll get her done, Billy. It's all you need is 12-pound rope. You're fine. That's it.
Exactly. Just put a freaking hula popper on there and give her. But like going out with, I've never really had good success. It's like an intimidation thing, but I'm seeing like a few comments that are coming on here. So Adam Fisher asked, what's the best advice for someone who's a beginner, not your typical like hardcore trout fisherman? And it's interesting hearing you guys, because you guys are geeking out about this, and myself and Jimmy and Danny, like that's not that's not our expertise. So like hearing you guys, like the depth you're going here is.
Did we fuck it up?
No, you guys, this is
You
fantastic.
fucked it up. Oh, Jesus, we
No,
fucked it up.
God, don't, Don.
Yeah,
Well, in all honesty, when it comes to the Salmon River, shit can get kind of touchy. But then again, it just depends on, with us, it's clarity. I fish in the middle of the winter when it's super cold and it's chin clear water. You lower your poundage on leader. You go smaller on hook. It's one of those things, smaller on bait, smaller on hooks. Those fish have seen everything in the water from everyone from Long Island to Michigan to Minnesota. Everyone's come up here to fish them. They've seen everything. Now, if you're fishing Douglas and Salmon Run right out by the estuary, those are fresh fish entering. They haven't seen anything. But when you get up to Altmar, they've seen everything that you can throw at them. So you got to go lower. You got to go small. You get touchy about it. But when you're downriver, you don't have to so much.
I guess that's what I learned too. Is the first thing that maybe you'll learn the hard way about fishing is you have to go smaller and finer more often than you'd like to have success. Is like
big bait doesn't mean big fish.
Right. You can fall into that like trap, and I think that's
not
like
a true statement.
is that like
I throw the biggest shit I can at fast, and that's the only way I can. You trout people are so freaking.
But Bill, that picture I sent you the other day of that brown, that was on. That was on I know like a size 20 pattern doesn't mean much to you, but it essentially, if you were to think about this, it would be like just that little kind of bit of that pen right there. Like that's about how big it was, that bug that I caught that fish on. So when you're fishing, and that's kind of what Zach was talking about, this was really clear, thin water. So you kind of had to have this like really thin, small, delicate presentation. Fish just don't think it's natural when you get this big clunky thing moving through the water when really the water isn't moving. So it's just like when that water gets really big things come down it. When that water is really small, it doesn't have enough power to wash those big things down. So you want to go smaller. So when you're fishing a trout river, the flow is super important. Not only the clarity, but
very well said, Don.
Yeah, how much it's moving. You can feel like if it's moving and it's off color, it's going to be moving a lot of stuff. That's when you're going to throw big worms. That's when you're going to throw streamers. That's when you're going to throw big bugs that can get pushed off the river bottom.
I apologize because I forgot to, like, you guys, like, so you guys are fishing, I don't know what size water you guys are hitting a lot of unless you're in New York, but how big is, what's a big fish? More or less, what's a big trout that you guys are 18, 20 inches? That's, you guys are throwing flies at out west kind of thing. What is
Yeah. I'll take this one first, Rob, because you catch much bigger fish than me. But for me, I think like once you get north of 15 inches, you start talking about like that's a quality fish.
Okay.
When you get to like 16 to 18, you're like, oh, that's a nice fish. When you get to 20, you're like, wow, I just had a good day. Catching one 20-inch fish. If you get north of 20, that's usually a monster in the river.
Okay. Yep.
Rob, I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, that's
kind of
right.
that's kind of what I thought when you.
Yeah, I would call like out here kind of like a 12 to 14-inch fish. It's still kind of like an adolescent fish. You get over 15 in a lot of rivers, that's a decent fish. Like obviously some of the water holds bigger fish. Like there's some giant fish out here also, but the majority of your fish, like if you're catching 16s to 18s, that's a solid fish. And like you said, anything 20 and above, like that's you're meeting a fish that probably hasn't been caught very much and has some age to them,
Yeah.
And some of the rivers out here, like there's wild fish out here that are up to 30 inches, but they're few and far between, and they are hard to catch. So like the rare monsters are very, very rarely caught, but a lot of it depends on the water. Yeah, some of the bigger water, like the Dream Stream here is one of the famous waters, which is part of the South Platte. In the Dream Stream, the fish run out of the reservoir up to the bottom of another reservoir, so there's big lake run fish, and you can catch a 30-inch brown in there. You can catch a 25-inch rainbow, upwards of maybe 28, but still the majority of fish are probably 16 to 18.
Yeah. That's kind of like our, you head up to the Adirondack, you head up to Tug Hill, you start stream fit, April 1st. It's all, you have your Lake Ontario regulations and its tributaries, you have its stream regulations and its tributaries. April 1st, the streams and whatnot, and that's where we're fishing stream trout. Stockies, you go up to the Adirondacks, you catch your brookies, and you catch a 15-inch fish. That's a big fish. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. Like, I love fishing the smaller water because it's not necessarily like those places. It's not about the big fish. Like, if you're catching any fish, you're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, my dream is like hiking in somewhere. Like you were talking about canoes. I have acquaintances that go every year. They head up to those beaver ponds way up in the Adirondacks. They catch 2 or 3 pound brook trout. I'm almost positive the one has caught the state record a couple times. He'll never tell you. He'll never enter it, ever. You just don't talk about it. It's just one of those things that's a thing they never see. They'll never tell you where they were. They never, they have hornback, canoes that weigh like 11 pounds. They strap them to their back and they go. And that's like my dream is like you get up in those creeks that don't see humans. Like people don't go up there, and you hook a 20-inch brookie, and it's like holy crap, you know what I mean? Holy shit. And that's just it. That's what I say when we're talking about stream fishing and trout fishing. That's what I picture. What I'm doing on the Salmon River is you get your cookie cutter smaller fish, but I'm looking for those 8 to 10s. Anything north of 10 that's big fish.
Well, because you're weighing them in pounds, not inches. That's what
that's
big fish, big water.
Yep. And that's just it. Like you hook into a 10-pound steelhead, that's a big fish. Everyone has a number in their head, but years ago you see numerous 20s here and there. You don't see that anymore. So anything north of 10 in my eyes is big for a steelhead. You catch big rainbows. We've taken a couple 12 pluses on my boat this winter, and they're big rainbows, big steelhead. You know what I mean? We did a 13-pound brown inshore last week, and that fish was so odd looking because he's short. I didn't measure him. I didn't put a tape to him. We didn't kill him. We put him back. He's 13 pounds. So he looks like a football. He looks 13 pounds. He looks like a football, but he weighs 13 pounds. We put him on a scale, got a weight, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, if he was 15, it'd be super hard to put that fish back. He probably would have went on the wall, and I didn't even catch him. It was the guy on my boat that caught him, but he was so unique looking because of how oval he was. But he weighed 13 pounds, and it's like, that's the cool fishery we have up here. And that was inshore. That was in Lake Ontario and 9 foot of water. So,
yeah. Am I going to cut you off, Billy?
Go ahead, Don. Whatever you have to say is way more important than what I have to say.
I was just going to say that sometimes the size of the fish that you're catching a lot of times, too, is really like relative to the tackle that you're using. So if like the classic trout rod is like a 5-weight, and if you catch a 20-inch fish on a 5-weight, you're going to feel that in the backbone. It's going to be a really fun fight, and it's going to be a really fun event for you. But if you take out your 7 or 8 weight and you hook into that same fish, you're going to overpower it, and it's not going to be the same amount of fun. So I know, Martha, you were talking before about, rigging up a rod. If it's a 5-weight or a 6-weight, that's probably a really good rod to use pretty much any time for trout fishing. You can land a steelhead pretty easily on a 6-weight. You'll feel it, and it'll be a little bit of work, but that's kind of like the sweet spot. If you're looking to get into fly fishing, 4, 5, 6, if you want to go on the lower end, like 4, if you're not going to be doing a lot of like steelheading and salmon, like you can definitely get away with a 4. If you're going to be getting into steelhead and salmon, like more towards a 6 would be better. But anyways, like that kind of really dictates for me. Like if I get a 12-inch fish on my 3-weight, which is a tiny rod, it feels enormous, and it's a huge fun battle. So, anyways, Bill, you can shoot now.
Oh, there's the mute button. I had to find it. Excuse me. There's been some I think people are starting to really get fired up over here. We're getting some good comments in. Ben Kelver and Pat Mester on, and I think they're bullshitting us. I think that's what those two are.
I don't think they would do that. I know those guys. I don't think they would do that.
Okay, so important question from Pat. Have you ever tried dynamite? Okay. The other question is from Ben, this guy named Ben Kelver. He's a
Time out. I want to address Pat right now because I think Pat Mass, I'm looking at you right now. If you're still watching, I think number one, you would love fly fishing until you die, and I think number two, you'd be one of the world's best. You could be the world's best.
With that half a finger, he could freaking peel that line.
You could do it.
And I agree with that
But I
statement,
was being serious. I think the guy, Pat, let's go out west. Let's go. In a month, let's just pack our bags. Let's just go.
And I don't think Pat ever saw those Indians that were on top of that mountain when we were going through that canyon that one time. He was looking, but he never saw them. And then I got a bone to pick with Kelver.
Bring Pat up.
Kelver, I hear you were talking some shit today about the fact that I was doing another Thursday night Pert Near podcast, and you were not invited, and you were a little bit fired up because you were trying to do your own thing with the boys. So if you have an issue, come straight to me, Kelver. So that's that. We've addressed a couple issues, and but there's been some good comments on the feed there. We were talking, Jimmy and I and Danny were messaging with Sam Jones about fishing with just a regular spinning rod and using like Panther Martins and different little spinners. So I guess can you guys talk about that a little bit, because to myself, like, that's kind of how I started trying to trout fish, was going out into some of these streams and using Panther Martins. And Zach, you look like you're hot to trot and ready to talk.
That's it. That's how it. Montague. I grew up at a camp in Montague since I was 6 years old. My father, when he brought me up there, a guy owned 600 acres right off 177. We stream hopped, and I spinners here and there, night crawlers. You get the ugly, you get the 6 foot ultralight ugly stick. You just walked for miles, man. That was it. Hit beaver dams and just caught brookies, and that's how it was.
Did you stop at the inn too?
Huh?
Did you go to the inn at all? The Montague Inn?
Yeah, when I was allowed to. That's pretty much it. Now I go up there quite a bit on my sled in the winter when
I was gonna say, you snowmobile, Zach. We need to.
I help run the Marine and snowmobile unit for our sheriff's office. So
were you the one that pulled me over and looked for my registration this year?
Probably it was me, unless it was my sergeant. That's funny. And no, it's wicked funny. You can drive there, and it takes you an hour and 20 minutes from our county, or I can just go through the woods out of Winona, and it'll take me like 25 minutes to get there on a sled.
I'd like to see you two polar bears arm wrestle. I think Martha and Jessica could be a hell of a freaking barn burner over here.
Next Thursday.
Sounds like a showdown.
That's what we're going to do.
Yes. 6 feet apart.
Beat them.
Oh, gosh.
No, I guess. But let's talk a little like strategy using spinning rods and approaching. So around us, there is some bigger water right off of Erie and off of Ontario. But if you're fishing some of these smaller streams, like I'm familiar with Naples Creek. Like, what do you guys recommend for somebody that's trying to go out in some of those smaller streams that are maybe a little bit of stock, but also some natural run coming off the lakes? Like, if you want to go out with a spinning rod, what do you recommend?
Bottom mounts and egg sacks. If you're not going to float fish, bottom mounts, egg sacks, night crawlers. That's it. You'll catch trout. Night crawler is going to catch trout over anything, especially stockies. When it comes trout season, a worm. You don't have to go crazy. You go to Walmart right now and spend $20 and go out to any stream in New York State and catch your limit of trout. That's the great thing about it.
You're going night crawlers over salted minnows?
Oh, steelhead like salted minnows, though. We're talking trout.
We're talking trout. You there in that big water.
I'm going down the road to fish stock trout in the local stream. You're going night crawlers?
Night crawlers all day. Oh, corn. Try corn.
east, like back east, you can fish bait anywhere, like whatever. So if you want to fish bait, you can do it on a fly rod if you want. But I would say, you know, if you're going to go do that, pay attention. Like you're going to be either, you know, high sticking it, where you're going to be having a lot of weight and you're trying to bounce on the bottom, or you're going to be running it under an indicator. But either way, what you want to have happen is you want whatever you got on there should be running at the same speed as the river. All right, so your presentation, real or fake, has to be going the same speed as the river. So you can't let that river dictate that your fly or your food is going to go faster or slower than it needs to go. So you are kind of in control, and you want to make sure that you're steering that rod and you keep that, whatever it is, going the same speed.
I have those guys out of West Virginia that fish with me. They fish smaller, like how you guys do. They don't. An 8-pound fish is a huge fish, and some of those streams out there in the mountains, they do get them. Not a ton. You know, you get a lot of those 1, 2s, and 3s. They actually run smaller center pin setups out there, and I've never, until this year, I want to do it. I want to hit some of those northern streams with floats, and they do it all the time out there. And they run smaller 10-foot, 9-foot, even smaller with smaller center pin setups, float rods for these fish. They crush it. And I've never until this year been like, oh my God, I can run up to the Adirondacks and do this in some of these streams and fish for brookies that way. And that's just it. I want to do that this year. And I've never seen anyone else. I know people do it. I've personally never seen anyone do it here in New York. But out in West Virginia, these guys do it all the time.
And I would say also, if you're going to go ahead and do that, trout aren't going to hit like a bass hit. So if you're a typical bass fisherman, where you're like waiting for like the huge hit, and then you set, like don't wait. Like you are going to feel a smallest little tick. Even if you run a salted minnow or a night crawler, they're not going to always slam it. The trout is literally just going to turn its head and just pick it. So if that happens, if you feel like anything happened with your line, any kind of tension change, like you got to set the hook. So for a lot of trout fishermen, just set it.
It just stops. Fish, like you said, they just turn their head. That's it. A steelhead, a 10-pound steelhead will do that. You're fishing the Salmon River and your float's going, it just stops for a minute and turns sideways. Fish has it. Doesn't mean he has to pull it under. It doesn't mean anything. You got to be on top of it.
I think that was one of the things Donny Colorado was, you know, Donnie's very good about to push me up to catch fish, and always you gotta if you think it's a hit, just hook, and if you don't get it, then you just throw it back out and make the same run. I think that's one of the things you get so.
Hook sets are free.
They are free. I love that.
Yeah, a lot
so
of it's the Michael Jordan or the Wayne Gretzky, right? It's like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yep. And that's a lot of it. Like, quite honestly, the 3 biggest fish that I've caught in Colorado have been all on size 24 flies, which are like you could fit probably 10 of them on your fingernail. And they were all hits to where my indicator was going the speed of the water, and then it just slowed down just for a second. And it didn't even tick. It didn't even go down. It just slowed down. And I hit just because, like, I knew it was a fishy spot, and that was literally, like, all 3 were pretty much the same way, the same strength. Like, you would never think a big fish could eat something so subtly, but they were literally just this quick little slowdown, and boom, there's a fish there.
You literally can Google. I know it sounds way too stupid. You have to make fun of me if you want. You can Google trout feeding or steelhead feeding and watch, from underwater cameras. They don't move much. And you watch a fish hit a bead. They're just sitting there, and it's just like, oh, there's a bead. Or there's an egg. Like, they don't, you know what I mean? When you have wicked, wicked cold water, and we're fishing days like, you'll launch, it's -10 in the middle of winter up here. They ain't doing much. So if you're putting it in front of their face, they're sitting there, and it's just, boom. And that's what, like he was saying, your float stops. Why not? You can cast out again. It doesn't cost you anything. Why not?
Yeah.
That could be the biggest fish of your life. You don't know, and that's the glory of fishing. You have no idea what's at the end of that line.
You just got to keep feeding them.
I would would say that that's also what's nice about fishing in low water for two reasons. You know where like the fish are going to be holding, so you know exactly when to be ready. But you also know, like from fishing in low water and clear water, how fast things take to drop to the feeding zone. So when you cast this heavy thing, like it's going to take 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, whatever it is to get down to a certain depth. And when you can see that in clear water, you can translate that to like shitty water. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, all right, if the fish are here, I gotta cast 6 feet up, 7 feet up, whatever. And then it'll drop, and then all of a sudden you're waiting, and you know exactly when that's going to be, and you're ready to set the hook. And that's why it's fun.
That right there, folks, is why it's fun. You should try it. Fisher brings up, these are all, like these questions are the questions I have. And the question is, like, so if you're fishing egg sack, or if you're fishing a salted minute, like, what's
Billy,
that
you're
hook?
breaking up.
You're breaking up big time.
You're breaking up, man. You gotta.
Yeah, so your shit's horrible, Bill.
You're really.
Boo, Billy, boo.
Why you come? Is that better?
No.
Boo.
Oh, you gotta mute. You gotta mute. Get off of this thing.
Yeah. So let's look at one of our questions here.
Text
you're-
Danny.
So say you're setting up one of your spin rods to go out and trout fish. Say you're using an egg sack. Say you're using whatever. What are you putting on there for a hook, and what test line are you trying to run?
Okay, so, I mean, hook shanks come in a lot of different sizes, but I'll try this one. Zach, you can take over at any time. If you're running an egg sack, you're going to be running a stinger hook. So, like a lot of those hooks, you can go to the fly shop and it'll say stinger hook, steelhead salmon, and a lot of those are, I don't know what size those would be, like size 6, somewhere between size like 6 and 10. I don't know. Zach, you got any ideas on that?
So right now, I run for egg sack wise. I run a Daiichi, whatever you want to spell it, X120 scud hook. It's size 12. It's small. I literally had guys on the boat last week. It's here. Oh,
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
you're not worried about stuff.
yeah, you're not gonna see it. It's a small hook. Like I said, I run small when I run egg sacks. Through the winter, I'm running and this is just my preference. It doesn't mean it's good. You know what I mean? I'll run lower weights, poundage wise, all through winter. 4 pound, 5 pound. Now, once the fish, drop back season, you can do a lot of stuff because these fish, like I said earlier, they're feeding to go back out to the lake. They're putting the feed bag on. You can run 6, 8 pound test again. It's not. You don't have to be super sketchy, secret, squirrely, if you will. In the wintertime, I go small everything, man, and that's in that Daiichi, that scud hook in size 12. They're wicked sticky, and they're a small hook. Running it with a night crawler, and I actually did because I got lazy about a week ago. I didn't want to change my hook. I ran a night crawler on it. It's too small for a night crawler. It goes size 8 if you're running, for stream trout, size 8 or even 10. Is what I would probably run. It just depends on what you're fishing for. In the Salmon River, that size 12, a lot of guys might think that's small. It works for me. For an egg sack hook, it works for me. When I run a bead, I'll drop down to an 8, size 8 if you're running a bead. Because that fish is hitting the bead and the hook. When I want him to hit a bag, I want him to chase look at the bag and be like, oh, nothing's weird there. Those are eggs. That's food. So I'll go lighter with eggs, if you will. But when it comes to beads, I'll go up. Pink worm, I'll run that Daiichi, same thing. Smaller hook with a pink. Berkeley makes their power bait pink worm. It kills fish here in the Salmon River. It's weird. Like in the middle of winter, you wacky rig it. You can rig it any way. Under a float, steelhead love the stupid thing. It's just one of those things. But I'll run smaller hooks for that. But when I go to a bead, I'll go bigger.
Zach, when you go, so to me, like, the hook is important, but I think to me what's more important is, like, the spacing between flies, or like the spacing between your egg sac and your hook and egg sac and your weight. So I know that like varies so much based on the water speed and the water depth. But do you have like kind of like a base setup that you typically use like on those bigger rivers for that?
So I don't run any trailer hook, if you will, on anything I run, pretty much. If I'm running an eggs, if you were to come on my boat tomorrow, I was going to hand you an 11-foot float rod, and you were going to run a float, with a bag. Usually, I try to keep my last weight on my shot pattern. So when you're float fishing, you want your bait literally to be downriver. That's the first thing you want downriver. It's the first thing to be in the fish's face. So you're going different. You go your float, and then you space it out. Usually for me, I'll go 4 inches in between weights, depending on how much weight, and you'll space it out so that you're literally, when you're going downriver, your line looks like this. So your bait's down here, your float's up here. Your line is literally going down. And you check your float. You keep a little bit of pressure on that float so that your bait's the first thing that's in the fish's face. That's what you want. If your float's going downriver like this, and your bait is kicking, it's all fucked up, if you will, at that time. You got to really check that float. You got to check weight. That's where shot pattern is weird. Like, you can run one shot pattern on a Saturday that kills the fish. Go back on a Sunday, you won't touch anything. And if you move your weights in just any little direction, it's all of a sudden, oh, there's fish there. They'll start biting. It's crazy how touchy things are just to put that egg sac in their face that makes them bite. It's weird. I tend to keep my last weight 18 inches, at least 18 inches from my hook, even with a bead. Sometimes you'll change that. It depends on the water level. If it's super high, you gotta get down. Like, it is what it is. But if it's super high, the watercolor might be a little darker, so you can get away with a little more. If it's lower and it's gin clear, you want to let that bait be way out here and your last weight out here. So you want that fluoro, and that's why I use the lighter line. I'll go 4, I'll go 5, and like I said, could that be too light? Yeah, I use a lot of Drennan products. I'll use Drennan 5 pound, Drennan 6 pound, Water Run 4 or 5 pound. It just depends on brands. We haven't talked a lot about brands on here yet, or if we are, I mean, it's self preference, I guess, what we've always used. But I try to keep my last weight at least 18 inches from my bait. Even when I'm float fishing, on the Salmon River, especially. Oswego River, I can get away with more. It's dirtier. It's deeper water. Depending on where the fish hold, you might fish the middle of the Oswego River. It's 9 feet, and you go 40 yards to your right, and it's 20 feet. So it's a different fishery. It just depends on the fishery, I guess.
Did I hear you say you could run a wacky rig on trout?
Literally.
Oh, that's my jam right there.
Oh, I'm saying, man, it's just a Berkeley power bait pink worm. Just wacky rig it and float fish it down, and steelhead love it.
Nice.
They love it. The browns love it. It's anything, and that's how a lot of guys. If you guys were gonna come off and fish this summer, the water's right for smallies. We'd float fish worms. We'd float fish pink worms. We'd float fish. And fly guys love it because smallies crush flies. And, poppers, anything like that. A lot of fly fishermen come to our river all summer long to fish for those smallies because they hit the shit out of flies. And then they can have a ton of fun on the flats down in Douglaston, any of the holes. And it's even funnier because you're like, where are these smallmouth bass now? You'll catch them all the way up to Altmar. Where are they now? How come you don't see them now? And all of a sudden, warmer weather pops up, and there they are. It's a weird fishery. It's crazy.
When you say you're float fishing, you're floating your bait or your jig, or you're floating. You've got a float on your line.
You have a float on your line. Usually you'll run, at my smallest, you can go 5, 5.5. Usually my eyes suck, so I run 8 gram. That's my smallest I'll run. I'll run 11 a lot, which a lot of guys are like, oh my God, that's huge. You don't want to run a bigger float, especially in lower water. But like I said, with my vision, I don't mind a bigger float. It doesn't bother me at all, and I catch fish. So you'll literally start with the float, and then you'll start with your shot pattern, different size, say buck or double buck or AAA or size 3, 2. There's different shot patterns like BB, smaller shots, and you'll start bigger and you go smaller all the way to your last float, and it literally keeps your bait. If you can picture it, literally downriver like this. So you're floating. Here's your float up top, and you're literally presenting that bait naturally right down in front of the trout's face, steelhead's face, whatever. So those eggs those beads are coming downriver. It's the first thing that's smacking them in front of their face. You're just watching for any motion in that float to either go down, sideways, or just stop.
What do you use for a float?
So I have a buddy up here who makes custom floats. It's Rich Bachelor RTV Floats. I've been using a lot of his stuff. Got a lathe, started spinning floats. I've been using a lot of his stuff this winter. Raven makes a great float. Sheffield makes a great float. If you guys know Danny Colville out of down there by Buffalo, he endorses Hero Drifter floats a lot. You can pay pretty much whatever you want for a custom float right now. But if you're just going to go to a random store, Raven's great. Couple bucks a float. Or like I said, my buddy, he's done well by me, and his floats are great too. So.
And I think those floats are great, over like a regular bobber. That just gets you vertical. That gets that line pointing straight down to the bottom of the river as fast as it can. And I think, how skinny of water would you fish those floats in? Like I fish a lot of like regular, just like thingamabobbers in white, so they look like air bubbles and they're small and skinny water. But will you fish those regular floats in skinny water?
So we fished. I'll fish marabou jigs a lot too. I didn't mention that in the Salmon River. Right now for dropbacks, you'll find fish in 2.5, 3 foot of water. It doesn't, you know what I mean? So I've had, trips there about a month ago where water was, I think it was like 1,600, and you're fishing, like I said, you got to fish spots that, you look at things and you're like, something's not working. And we did that, a couple weeks back, and we hit a seam that I normally wouldn't fish. And it was literally on the second drift. It was like pop. There was a chromer sitting there. Hit an egg sac. It was 2.5 feet of water. 2.5, maybe 3 feet, if that. As clear can be. It was super cold. It was like 20 degrees out, and it was high sun. And that's just it. It wouldn't be a spot where I'd be like, a fish is gonna sit there. He was. I don't know why. You know what I mean? But it was nothing else was working. It worked for us. So an outfit works for steelhead in 2 or 3, 2.5, 3 foot of water if you have to. It just depends on. I guess it depends on the section of the river and the seam, what you have for cloud cover, what you have for the day, what you have for weather, flow. There's a lot of stuff now, and that's going back to I had never really thought about that stuff until you start doing it, business wise. You gotta check that stuff, and instead of just showing up to the river and like, we're gonna do this. But even though sometimes that works, we're gonna do this today, and it works.
And the marabous, are you casting and retrieving? Are you bouncing them? How are you fishing those?
So in the Salmon River, you're float fishing them under a float. A Swiggle River, you're float fishing them under a float for the most part. When you're fishing the harbor and you're fishing up top, under a float. So all through the winter, November, December, into January, when the browns are in there super heavy, we fish swim baits. Literally like you would jig on at a lake for walleyes. 3-inch swim bait, Kitech, half ounce, quarter ounce. When the flow is right, those brown trout love swim baits. So I'll go straight to 8 foot, spinning rods with braid with, a 2 foot leader of fluoro, and we'll just bounce the bottom and retrieve back, cast and retrieve back swim baits, and those browns eat them up, and steelhead as well. So just depends, again, time of year, flow, river, whatever you're fishing.
We lost our moderator. Zaylor.
I'm going to be right back as well.
It might just be me and Zaylor in here right now. Zaylor, how you doing, buddy? You're still on mute, Zaylor.
I'm
here. Yeah, I got you. That was bad. I want to talk about maybe one of the best fishing experiences of my life. And that was after one of the worst days of my life.
Wait, what was your best experience of your life, Dennis?
Yeah, that was when we met them up for the muley hunt. We took Xander Creek in, and we caught some.
Oh, yeah, cool.
20
Xander, you had a cutthroat on in that river. I don't know if you remember this. It was underneath there a tree crossing the river. We just went to the full court press setup.
Yeah.
You threw it over the tree, and it was starting to peel off some drag in your spin rod.
Yeah.
That was a nice cutthroat.
Yeah, I remember we were devastated about
That was like a puddle jumping stream of a creek, and that was probably going to be like a 14 to 15 inch cutthroat. Like that was, and I think what was remarkable about that is like this huge waterfall right there, and it was like there's probably not a fish up above this. I don't know. Yeah, you had a great day. That was a lot of fun. You, I don't know. I thought Rob would get a kick out of this. So we didn't have, I wasn't going to make Zaylor fly fish on my fly rod because he'd never thrown one before. So he put two, big bushy flies on his spin rod and some, light line. And we just had him, tomahawk casting with his spin rod into this, small little cutthroat creek, 10 feet in front of him at a time. And I was freaking killing it.
Yeah, that works. That's how a lot of the old guys do that on the high mountain lakes here.
Yeah, with their spin rod and dry flies.
Yeah, you remember the first time we went up to Summit Lake, Don?
Oh yeah, they had indicator floats on, but they had dries on the end of them, didn't they?
Yeah, they were using dry droppers with indicators, but those
That's
guys
really
were playing it. Remember they had 60-inch cutthroats in a freaking garbage bag. It was like, damn, you guys are assholes, but you catch fish.
Yeah.
I'm reading some of these comments here. Sam Jones on here. He's on point. He knows what he's talking about. Talking about marabou jigs with a waxy. Shh. You don't tell anybody about the waxy trick, Sam. You keep that to yourself.
You're holding out on us here, Jessica?
Sorry, no, waxies are dangerous. Waxies are a good thing to have anywhere on any river or trout stream in the state of New York at all times.
Oh, that is going to be the whole Pert Nears podcast. They're going to play that 30-second clip of that.
That is going to get into our intro for this podcast.
That's it. The secret is out. Well,
I think we lost our chief podcaster.
Yeah, it's not too often you lose him. To not hear his voice is really strange.
Yeah, where's this guy from? Is he at least watching on the live feed or what?
So
I think
you guys, anybody fishing tomorrow? Who's fishing tomorrow?
I'm actually going to take a half day and go fish tomorrow.
I'm going fishing tomorrow.
Oh my god, I hate all of you.
I'm going to go up to
perch tomorrow.
Jumbo Perch.
You're going for perch?
Jumbo perch tomorrow, guys.
Where are you going?
Secret spot.
Alright,
Cayuga. I'm going to fish Cayuga tomorrow. I am.
Cayuga?
Yep, I'll be on Cayuga tomorrow.
C, not the K, Danny.
I'm on this secret walleye fishing group for Lake Erie, and some guy came in with 95 perch off Erie the other day, and I was just like, oh man, I gotta get out there. That looks like so much fun. That's my jam. I love perch fishing.
Yeah, perch.
Growing
up on Cayuga, a lot of it was perch and bass, but the perch they're eaters, man. They're good.
We could do a whole podcast just on panfish one day.
Yeah.
You've already talked about the crappies a lot.
Oh yeah.
I was hoping to get more. I wanted some more crappie information, actually.
Yeah, I don't know crappies. I gotta listen to you on that one. I haven't fished much. I've caught a couple, but never grown up on them.
Yeah, that's a blast. That's an absolute
insight, Zach. Thanks.
Huh?
I said great insight. Not giving us a damn thing. After that, whatever the hell Marabou did.
And like, yeah, I got one spot.
So,
It's the only spot.
so if you guys can fish any marinas at all, anywhere where you live, where there's docks, structure, anything like that, in the next week and a half, you'll catch crappie. And a lot of those spots are totally posted, and people don't want you in there. But if you're really nice, they might let you.
So that's just like really like slack water, pretty shallow water in like near the bays.
Not even shallow, ice out, man. They're in the middle of those slips, 4 or 5 feet deep. They're just holding. Or I figure out on the cold days, they're either deep or they're on structure. So if you see structure, fish structure. If they're not there, they're out in the middle. It's weird how they hold. If you find one, you're gonna find a dozen. That's how crappie.
You're fishing right offshore, or you fish in the bays?
It just depends, again, on the water. Depends on if I, can slip a boat in or not. But a lot of times, if you get permission to fish some of these marinas where you don't have a boat, it works out.
Okay.
Plastics are live. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so my dad always talks about, like, back in the day, we go fishing for perch every year down in Chautauqua Lake, and they talk about, oh man, we used to catch crappies like crazy down here, and I don't know if I've ever even caught a crappie in 10 years of going down there on our fishing trip. Like, we just don't catch them anymore, and that's in May, obviously, so it's a little bit of a different story, but I'm interested. Your thoughts are early season you're going to catch them around the docks, and then later in the year you're going to struggle to catch crappies.
So right now we're doing some locally here and there, and you're fishing those those slips and those marinas, but you're catching them out in I guess out in the water, off the structure, if you will. In the next month or so, you're going to start seeing them come closer. You'll get them under the docks. On a sunny day, if you have a marina by you that you've heard is good pan fishing, if you can get the right, reflection, if you will, on the sun, check those docks. Sometimes, Florida, you can see a dock off to the side from 20 yards. You'll see like 50 fish under there. They're not all bluegills. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things with pan fishing. It's those little small slips, stagnant waters, anything there's a little, pipe or culvert by, it's crappie hold early season. And like I said, into May is when it's really good, and April gets good. Just depends on the temp. This year it's early. It's kind of today up here in Oswego it was 60. So I mean, as long as that water temp starts turning, those back little bays, you're gonna find panfish, and that's the great thing about it. Perch, you'll find them right now. You find them in, like on Cayuga, you fish the channel. It's not very deep, where we're at, so everything around you is 6 to 8 feet, and you fish the 13-foot spot. That's where the perch are.
Did you say Oswego? How'd you say that?
Oswego?
Oswego?
Schwega?
Oswego. That's what you said.
Oswego.
Oswego.
You pulling those perch out for fish fries?
Say that again?
You pulling those perch out for fish fries?
We fry a lot of fish, but I'll be honest with you, put them in, bake them, man. They're great. Little box seed.
Poor man shrimp.
Poor man shrimp.
Montreal chicken seasoning. Butter and Montreal shrimp. It's the best thing ever.
You boil them up, you throw them on ice, throw them in the freezer for 20 minutes, pop them out, you're good to go. That's it.
Feed them. Oh my God.
You ever smelt, Jessica?
You know what? Not a lot. So up north you will. Through the ice. We don't find them much anymore dipping them, obviously. You'll pop them through the ice on some of those, Adirondack lakes.
What are we talking about?
Smelting. You ever smelted, Donald?
We talking about smelting?
Smelting.
Oh, you used to call me Hilton.
Jim, let me ask you this question, Jim. Do you think that Dad and Uncle Mike really were all excited about smelting, or they just wanted to get the hell away from the house and go out in the middle of the night and drink a whole bunch of beer together?
Yeah.
Feed them. If you think about it, you just crush Jenny Light and dip a net into the water, and ain't much better. I mean, think about it back then.
I mean, they were coming home with 2-gallon milk cartons of smelt, but I think it was standing in the middle of the river in the middle of the night. I got to them.
100%. I can remember going down there with Dad down in Naples Creek, and those were some really fun nights. We'd go down there. Dad would take you and I and Uncle Mike and the four of us stand in the stream, and they'd have a lantern, just standing there, just holding the lantern, and oh, here they come. Oh, there's a huge freaking beaver right by our leg. They can just chomp your freaking foot off at any second. Jesus Christ. We were just boys then. We were just boys, Jim.
They used to run back in the day, though.
Well, I don't know where they were running, but they were running.
Apparently the smelt don't run now like they used to.
You get local restaurants that sell the ocean ones. They don't taste the same. It's freshwater is where it's at.
Yeah.
Candy. Those ocean ones are fishier.
That's feeding them on freshwater.
Yeah, well, you get a little bit of mercury, and it's good for you.
Hey.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, was that bad?
That's too soon, Don. Too soon.
Okay.
Very
You gotta let people know that, Don. You can't release that information yet.
Nobody's listening. Nobody is listening to us right now.
The mercury helps you get 10 hot quick.
Oh, get hurt!
If you're waking up in the middle of the night, your mercury level's high.
On Facebook right now.
What'd you say?
We got 10 people on Facebook right now.
Oh, we had 25 at one point.
Get out.
We got a lot. We got a lot.
I really screwed the pooch on posting the doing it on my personal Instagram account live, not Pertinent Outdoors. I fucked up bad.
Stupid though. Just
Nobody told me. I mean, we've been on here for 2 hours. Not
I
a
told
single
you
person.
that right when I got on, Bill. I said,
So did I.
Jeff is back?
Is that Jeff?
Yeah, I'm back.
Jeff?
Wow! We thought Jeff blacked out with Jenny Lights. Holy shit!
I only had 2. That's enough for me usually.
Yeah.
You working on your Sitka for the afternoon here, Bill?
My Sitka? Yeah. The second portion of this is brought to you by Sitka Gear. And when it gets cold in your basement, you throw on your down synthetic down layers, and it will keep you warm. And when you have to sleep on the concrete floor in your basement, it will keep you warm. Yeah.
There's a reason there's a tent set up down there.
Yeah. Bill, Dan, and I pitched a tent Monday morning, and
Wait, what was that?
Right.
Yeah.
No, like we physically, Bill, Dan, and I erected a tent right behind me. And,
The word erect was not any better.
No.
Is it the wrong choice of words there?
You stay away from my godson. You fucking...
Yeah. Listen, that little sumbitch is he's my freaking shed hunting, backpacking, 4-wheeling. That kid is awesome, man.
Shed hunting don't count when you throw down the horns to find them, Bill.
I should go upstairs and get all my sheds and bring them down. That was one of my favorite parts of last week's episode, was me having all my shed horns stacked up. That was a pisser.
I bet that was your favorite part, Bill.
Yes, it was.
My favorite part was Kelber's story about the Amish.
Yeah, did you listen back to what I sent you guys last night? I sent that over to you.
I listened
this morning.
for 4 minutes, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, there was definitely some interesting conversations with last week's, but I want to go back to when we first started. Zach was talking about doing an Adirondack trip, and I kind of want to pick your brain on that, Zach. Like, what do you think that could look like? Like, because I know that Donnie, myself, Danny, Jimmy, we've talked about doing some kind of a rafting or floating trip up in the Adirondacks, but we don't really know like where to start or what to do. Danny, you got something to say?
I got a canoe and I want to go. That's all I have to say. I got a truck too. I'll drive.
The heavy Chevy?
If we were going to go up there or whatnot and just creek hop kind of thing on state land, I don't know, that'd be my best idea. Like I said, I don't own, a super light canoe to really backpack in 2-3 miles, but we can hike in 2-3 miles and see what happens.
I fished north of the Adirondacks a couple times in Chattagay River, which is basically just on the Canadian border. And there's a guy there that he has a camp, and that's where he lives now. There's nothing there. but he's got a 2-mile stretch of basically untouched water with a bunch of wild browns in there. That's pretty fun to do. We've done that a couple times, but that's 5 hours away. So
It's worth it if you're going to go for a few days, though, and make a trip out of it.
it's pretty fun. You just hang by the fire and drink whiskey all night and pass out and hang out.
Make fun of each other about snagging brown trout.
Yeah.
I met some guys golfing that they drive like 10 hours north into Canada and they catch there's a Canadian railroad up there and they catch like it runs twice every other day or something. Oh my god, it sounds like the best fishing trip I ever heard of. They go another 5 hours west in the middle of Canadian wilderness and just like they're fishing and drinking for 7 days straight, and it sounds like the best trip I could ever imagine.
Trout or walleye are they fishing for?
Walleye and pike. The guy says
Like northern. Yeah.
no, they're fishing for walleye to eat in the morning, and then they just go for trophy northerns after that. It's just
I got a buddy at work who does it. That's it. They're literally just fishing for walleye to eat, and then you go chase pike whenever you want, and that's all they do. They pound beer for a week.
It sounds like the most amazing trip you ever imagined.
It's not that pricey. It's not. It's actually very reasonable.
Is it the same thing? You gotta hop the train west once you get up north high enough, or is it?
They drive way up there. I can get the name of the outfitter they use, but your boat, your gas, everything's included, and literally you just whatever you want to do. You want shore lunch, you want walleye for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can. Obviously, bringing fish back across the border is a little weird, but it's you pick up your beer and you're ready to go, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, and you're fishing pike and you're fishing walleyes. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like about as good as it can get for non-moving water, anyways.
Yep. Can you keister that? Can you keister that fish to get across the water?
Billy, I bet you.
Hey, Bill, I'm asking for a friend. What does it mean to keister a fish?
Let's see. All right, Bill. Urban Dictionary.
Do you
Not Urban Dictionary. No.
do you kill them before or after the keystream, Bill?
Keystream, Bill. Look
It's
it
not
up.
important to this conversation.
Oh, that's a great question because is it ethically okay to keister a fish and sailors ask kill it? Because that would be a high level of suffering if you keister the 5 fish and sailors ass.
I agree, Don.
That might be the worst thing you could do to anything ever.
I want this post tomorrow morning. While I'm fishing on Cayuga Lake, I want tomorrow morning for near outdoors. I literally want the dictionary definition of keystering.
You got it. You got it.
Where are you going on Cayuga tomorrow, Jack?
Say that again?
Where are you going on Cayuga tomorrow?
We're going to go out of Mudlock. I've never launched there. I guess it's a new launch. The state launch is super low, I guess.
Is that Cayuga or Cayuga?
Cayuga.
The other one's Cuca.
Cayuga.
How do you mess that up, Jim?
Aren't they different?
Fucking
I'm
drunk?
trying to verify here.
What are you targeting, Jack? You going after Lakers?
No, we're gonna fish perch tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
It was in between fishing the Salmon River for steelhead, the dropbacks, which I'm really kind of bumming. I kind of wish we did because I think it's going to be a good day. But the perch bite's been pretty good. It's hard not to go.
Do you know
Especially when my wife's going to let me
where the
fish.
Boy Scout camp is?
Out there on Cayuga,
Yeah.
is that is it around the state launch or no?
It's closer to like Teganic Falls, Teganic Launch.
I know where that is, but I don't think I've been down there. No.
A little ways down it. Yeah, you should look up the Boy Scout camp there. There's like a little cove off it's a little tributary to Teganic Creek. Teganic Creek? It's probably Teganic Creek. But there's the Boy Scout camp there, that little cove. There's a lot of perch in that area. There's a couple holes in there that, like, if you hit the hole, you're on it.
Hey, Rob. Do you remember that time when Donny and I came down and visited you and we went and had cheeseburgers and we ate those huge cheeseburgers? You remember that?
I remember that, Bill.
I do recall, Bill.
Bill, I went down there about a month ago and ate some cheeseburgers with my wife.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, Bill, you want to hear the best thing ever? I'm driving out. I think we were going to Summer's parents' house. We were like out in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. And Donnie sent me a picture of the placemat, which right now has the 40-year anniversary of my family. So I'm on the placemat.
Come on.
And so Donnie sends me a picture and he says, "You're still on this thing?" And so I was laughing about it. Like 10 minutes later, my cousin texts me and he says, "Hey, your college roommate left his credit card here. You got his number?"
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
And
I
I thought that was the funniest thing ever done.
I can remember being super hungry there for some reason. I don't remember why. I just was like, man, I'm hungry. And then I was like sleepy.
Sleepy, happy, hungry, sleepy.
Yeah, were you ever giggly? You probably weren't giggling.
No, never happened. Never been giggle, you know?
I actually think we're pretty, if you, hypothetically speaking, if you were to ever eat an edible and go fishing, I think you'd be pretty good.
Yep.
Hypothetically, I've never seen anyone do this before,
Oh,
I think
man,
your
so-
level
so,
of
like,
focus.
Like, hypothetically, if I was to go trout fishing in the Rocky Mountains, at
Yeah.
a spot called the Herrmann Hole,
Yeah.
and I was to have an edible, hypothetically, there's people listening to this that Mama,
You're locked in.
this is all my mom.
Paul
Mom just posted.
Oh yeah, your mom is
All right.
Paul Harvey's.
Hypothetical, but then
Paul
you have a
doesn't
scoop.
know about the Herrmann hole, okay?
You go to the Herrmann Hole and you have a Scooby snack, and next thing you know, you're just hauling in trout. You're just filling your game bag. I don't even know what I was wearing. I was just, man, those fish were just jumping onto my hook.
Knocking them bitches back.
That's good.
I love you, Mom. You're the best. Mom's, she's in it, ride or die. I mean, it's 10 o'clock at night, and we've been going for 2 hours, and Paula's still over there freaking strapped in. She's the best.
Is she still watching?
I can't believe is she the only viewer?
I think so, and that's all that matters. I do this for my mother. That's if anybody wants to know deep down why we're doing what we're doing here at Pertinier Outdoors, it's for my mama. That's why.
Do you think she's Googling the difference between like mono and fluorocarbon, liters and like
Inshallah. She's looking at
baraboo and like blood run and shit?
My God, these comments.
Do you think she's looking up like carpet snakes? What do you call them, John?
She
Yeah,
definitely
carpet spiders.
Carpet spiders? Do you think she's looking those up? Paula, please don't Google carpet spider.
don't do it. Don't do it. Urban Dictionary, Google Scooby Snacks.
Urban Dictionary, carpet snakes.
Carpet spider.
I tell you what, I just cracked my last beer, and I'm out after this.
Like straight out.
3/4. This is the last bush light in the house, and we're quarantined. So
Hey, we got people hanging with us here. We got Z-Man just joined. What up, Z-Man? We got Brian Godfrey said I'm only on because I haven't run out of vodka yet. I love this. I mean, we've got.
I got BV, Brian. God damn it, I got BV.
Yeah, well, big Jim.
I'm only here because I haven't run out of vodka yet.
Oh, Big Willie's on. I wonder if Mom and Dad are in the same room watching this, or if they're in their own. Wonder how that's working.
nice of them to log on separate devices just to
Give you double viewers. That's awesome.
That's really Mom, Dad, Paula, Big Will.
Oh God. So what else do we want to talk about?
I want to know if you had your own streamer pattern, Billy. What would you name it?
Oh, good one, Bill. Bill, get creative here. You can go wherever you want with it.
Do you want me to come back to you?
Slick Willie.
No, that's too obvious.
I got a big hard hitting question for
So
everybody.
the streamer. Let's go back. Streamer is the thing that Jonesy. That's that big fluffy thing that Jonesy had, right?
That's right.
Okay. What do I want to name that?
Yeah, so streamers technically, Bill, tend to get some more frisque names. Some of the good ones, there's the Sex Dungeon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sex
Swimming
Dungeon.
Jimmy.
Swimming Jimmy.
I was gonna say
No, that is
Jimmy
the
one.
name of that is
You
the
could
name
go
of the
anywhere.
block.
You
That
can go
is the
anywhere.
name. You
There's
can't name it Swimming Jimmy.
There's the Meat Whistle.
There's a Sex Panther.
these are good. I know I got something. I'm just trying to figure where it is.
You need to create one called the Dirt Merchant. What you need is
The Dirt Merchant. Can you tie that for me, Jonesy? Can you tie me the one and only, the pert near Dirt Merchant?
Yeah, I'll tie it up.
I think. Oh man, I can't wait.
It's gonna be a slick. It's gonna be slick.
I
You
need
need
some.
a sneaky Sasquatch is what you need.
I like that.
Oh, I got to think of something that has to do with pooping. Like the hot snake. I want like a hot snake. Can I get one of them? And like I want there to be like a streak of yellow on it for school bus yellow. The hot snake.
Nice.
Get me one of them, and it could be chartreuse. I like chartreuse. If you could fix that in there.
Yeah.
On a van down by the river.
All right, so we got some streamer names coming in. Oh, Z-Man says the only reason why he's on here is because he was sitting on the shitter and he thought about me, so he decided to check out my profile and we were posting live. That's what Z-Man had to say. Thanks.
Was that a romantic confession?
I think so.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, I think it was definitely.
We love you too, Z-Man.
Brian Gottfried says that there's some pretty good names out there for trolling spoons for big Lakers. I don't know about that, but does anybody know about any names
I don't
for
know any
spooners?
names. No.
Probably something that sounds like sploosh or something. I don't know.
What's your all right? So best fish, biggest fish. We're gonna do biggest fish. What's everybody's biggest fish? What'd you catch it on? What was it? Best fish ever. Zach, you're on the camera right now. Zach, what'd you get?
What are you looking for species wise?
I don't care. What's your best fish ever?
Oh
Best
my god.
favorite catch ever and biggest. That's all I want to hear.
Favorite catch ever. I did a Seneca Lake 16 and a half, 2 pounds, 9 ounce yellow perch. That's on my wall.
Wow.
That's a giant.
A 17 incher?
16 and a half. You know, around the
That's
dot.
17. I don't,
actually
you know.
Yeah, I have photos.
Shrinkage probably from coming up from the depths. You know.
I have photos of the tape, and it was funny because I was fishing. It was like -5 that day. It was like, I believe it was February, and an old timer down there, we're fishing off Bamson, actually asked me, he goes, "What would it take you to mount a yellow perch?" And I go, "If I touch 16," and I had done quite a few in that 15 range, legit. And I hooked that fish, and she came up on a wave, and he started screaming, "There's your 16, there's your 16." I thought it was a landlocked salmon. Not even kidding. I thought it was like a little landlocked salmon. And when he netted it for me, he looked at me, he goes, "That fish is over 16. And it was 16 and a half, 2 pounds, 9 ounces. So that's actually my favorite big catch, and it's a yellow perch. So
you mounted it?
I did. I have photos.
You mount it warm?
Huh? What did you say?
Then you soaked it in cider?
Yes, did you mount it warm is what I asked.
No, I like them when they're a little cold and stiff.
I thought there's only one way to mount it.
A little cold and stiff.
No way.
Illegal?
That's
illegal.
That's a first I'm heard here outdoors. This
No,
cold.
you're wearing a sheriff shirt, drinking larceny whiskey. I think you're all right. You can say whatever you want to say.
You do you, bro.
Yeah. Jonesy, what's your best fish?
I think personal catch would be biggest was steelhead I caught this fall on our steelhead trip to Pennsylvania. We were actually had our second day we did Ohio, and I had been swinging flies all day, got nothing. So we stopped in this little hole, and we could see there was like 4 fish in this little pocket. And so I switched and swung a little nymph through there and hammered one, and that was about it. So the coolest fish I think we've seen hooked was a tarpon. It was pretty cool. I've seen the tarpon hook. That was fun. We were trolling for sharks in Florida off Sanibel Island, and the tarpon just picked up a piece of cut bait and jumping out of the water. That was pretty fun. So a fish I didn't catch would be the coolest.
That's pretty sweet, though. Tarpon is a legit deal.
Yeah, legit.
Jimbo, how about your biggest fish? You ever caught like a like a like a big black bass? You ever caught one of them? That's an awkward silence.
Yeah, right. Crickets.
Does anybody walleye fish? Anybody like the walleye?
I accidentally caught one time.
I've just never been in an area like I've done a ton of walleye fishing, but like it just slowed down. Like my dad always talks about great walleye fishing, but we just don't have great walleye fishing around anymore. A little on Lake Erie, but
I mean, yeah, Erie's got some giant fish.
Yeah, I think Lake Erie fisheries coming back. I think last year's walleye, from not me, just from seeing people and talking to people, walleye was great last year on Lake Erie. I'm hoping to get out a little bit this year to try to.
You gotta come up. You gotta come up May and June up here and jump on the boat with me. That's what you gotta do.
I gotta come to you. What about you coming to me? I don't know.
Right?
I run trips up here for eyes in May and June. That's what I'm for the Cerro River. Big walleyes.
You also gotta have an operational boat too, Bill.
Oh, a boat that. Have you ever had the boat engine have issues?
Would be nice.
Just curious. Asking for a friend. Do you have a drain plug on your boat? That's what I'm asking. Jim, what's your best fish, Jim? What'd you catch one time?
I gotta say, my best fish is just your regular bass, man.
Yeah, that's how you know you're not a good fisherman, when you don't even have a good fish.
That's why I haven't had much input on this thing. Because bass is about the only fish I catch.
Jimmy, remember in college we used to go down to that guy who used to work for us, grab his duck boat, and go fishing?
Yeah.
That was blessed. Run the trolling motor, and then remember the trolling motor died that one time? We had to row back.
Jeff, we used to run around Powder Mill Park and trout fish. We didn't catch shit.
No, terrible.
So you've graduated from that, right?
Yeah, I catch a few more. 1, 2. Except when Donny came out, we got skunked when Donny came out. I felt bad. Bill was there for all 32 minutes.
That was that was one of the coldest days of the winter for fishing. There was it was ice everywhere. It was boring. That's me, man.
Yeah, it was good to get.
You got to have a Pert Near Outdoors trout fishing derby at a local fishery somewhere.
Like at a fish hatchery. I think that'd be pretty.
That'd
be pretty good. Yeah, right out of the hatchery. Let's see what we can.
Right out of the hatchery.
And everybody's allowed 4 treble hooks. They have 4 treble hook lines. That's all you're allowed to use.
My money's on
Smashed. Powder Mill. We could go to Powder Mill and have like a day of it. It'd be hilarious. It'd be great.
No, I want to do that sort of stuff. I think.
Or even Naples. We go to Naples.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, come on.
There you go.
We don't have any time right now.
None.
Pond's open.
Donald, best fish.
I got. Can I share 2?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
One, you guys got me talking about walleye. I caught one in the Little Bighorn on a float fishing trip for trout. They were putting the boat in, and we were like below this after bay. And he's like, "Yeah, just go chuck a streamer in there." And I hooked into like a 26-inch walleye on my 5-weight.
That'd be fun.
That was a ton of fun. You know, just like hanging on the bottom. And then last year we went on to it was like a bachelor party down in New Orleans. So I went down there a day early and I did some flats fishing, for some redfish, just kind of pushing around. That's just, oh man, that's so much fun. I hooked into some like really nice fish on the fly, but I think like the best part was just, this guy's just pulling around. Like you're just in the Louisiana marsh. It's just freaking cool.
You catching big bull reds, or were there?
We caught some big bull reds. There's some big bull.
Awesome.
It was cool.
Were you side fishing them?
Yeah, it was a little bit murky, so like the visibility was probably only like 1.5 or 2 feet. So it was like kind of tough at times, but like, yeah, you're still like chasing these shadows. Like you can see something's in there, and you're like, oh fuck, don't fucking fuck this up, man.
No, you definitely do.
Yeah, it's true. Like just doing the stupidest shit I've never done before. Like,
was it like right? I mean, were you like, could you see like their head wakes and stuff like that? Was that what kind of what you were looking for? Was it that shallow, or were they feeding?
Wake, no. Just basically outline. Like it was. We were fishing like 2-3 feet of water, but like visibility probably wasn't all of that. So you're just kind of looking for like outlines and shadows moving.
Gotcha.
Just throwing at big dark objects in the water.
Yeah.
Something where like the guy's screaming at you like, "Oh, it's 11:30." No, 11:30, and you're like, "Dude,
oh my god, dude." Yeah, that's just,
I'm looking over here. I don't see anything. Where is it? And like, no, fucking throw. I'm like, all right.
I have an important question about your experience down there. Did you see Shelby Stanga, and was there any cedar cypress floating in the water?
Yeah, to everything. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You need to get cultured, boy. That's what I'll tell you right now.
See the History Channel, you fuck.
Cedar Cypress?
Cedar Cypress.
Cedar Cypress. I didn't see her do anything.
You cedar, you cipher.
Should I cedar and cider?
Yeah, you've done that.
Totally.
Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Oh,
I should see it now? Oh, jeez.
imagine seating her and siding her.
Oh, boy. Okay.
For fucking breeding them, that's what it's talking about. Hey, Danny, boy, you ever caught big fish before, or you just, what do you do?
I don't know. I caught a few.
Oh, boy. That's not good.
You want a Taylor story, or?
That's the thing about fishing. You don't need to catch anything. You just have memories of it.
Center.
Best fish ever, or trip. We had a bunch of the guys ripping a boat up in Cape Cod, and we caught some striped bass, and great. I fell off the boat at one point because I was so drunk, and it was a lot of fun.
That was on the dismount, though.
Yeah, it was after the trip, but I did fall into the water. It was not good, but we caught some big striped bass, and I would say that was maybe the most fun or memorable fishing trip of my life, and probably the biggest fish I've ever caught too.
I think what was cool about that is that on most days, I was talking to a buddy out off Cape Cod. You'd be jigging on the bottom, and you'd be like kind of slowly trolling. But the fish just weren't where they were supposed to be. So there's this like big rip current when the tide comes in. So you got this rip where like the boat is getting thrown around, and you're like fighting the water the whole time, and you're just yanking these octopus and squid patterns like as hard as you can off the back of the boat. And we were just getting freaking tossed around, but it was a ton of fun.
And that boat driver is literally, he's got you on, so we're between Martha's Vineyard and the edge of Massachusetts, and the tide is coming in and just ripping through that small area of water, and the depth comes up too, so it just rips through there, and there's just this, it's probably a 10-foot wave that comes up, and so you're staring a 10-foot wave in the face, and your boat is dipped down into the bottom of that wave, and you're just kind of like trying to come out of the wave, and the water's ripping through, and you're just ripping jigs through that current, and it was one of the
digging it. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. There's
using drop shot in that situation, or what's what are you jigging?
He was jigging.
Like a big football head jig, like what? Like a half ounce or 3/4 ounce? Squid, yeah. Danny? I'm sorry. I don't mean to not.
No, that was a Craig mess. If you were there, Bill, you would have known.
No, Craig yells squid at things. I get it.
When did you start that story? Was that a long time ago? Zaylor, you're running this show. You got any more questions or what?
Yeah, let's go. It's 10:30. I'm going to bed.
All right. Is anybody going to ask me about my biggest fish?
No.
What about Herm? Herm hasn't talked. Herm, what was your biggest fish?
Excuse me. Cayuga Lake holds some really big lake trout. Caught some pretty sizable fish in there. I've caught some fish in Colorado. Like I've caught a couple now, kind of mid 20 inches. That out here is kind of legendary fish. Like I'm fortunate to have seen them, but probably the most notable in my life was spin fishing on the flats. And kind of targeting everything, but we ran into a bunch of bonnet head sharks, which are like hammerheads that have little like 2 foot
hats on them, like bonnets.
Yeah, little 2 foot hammers. It's like a bonnet instead of a hammer, and they're like 6 feet long. You know, it's not a small fish, so you can
Or
see
like
them
a
coming.
mushroom cap?
Not like a purple mushroom type of.
Kind of like
yeah.
dickhead sharps.
Yeah, but they're fun because you can see their fins coming, and you know you cast out, watch them turn, and go right to it, and then it's like takes probably 20 minutes to get them to the boat. So it's a exhilarating one, not one that you would do every day. But I want to catch one of those on a fly. That would be a hell of a.
That'd be awesome.
But it's a little different also because you get them in the boat, and then you don't want to pull them into the boat because they could potentially take a bite out of your leg. So it's like you fight them for 20 minutes, you get them beside the boat, maybe get a second,
Cut the line.
and then you let them go. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you get those long hook releases.
Bill, you ever catch anything?
Yeah, this one time I thought nobody'd ever ask. I was pretty excited to tell a story. This one time I was fishing up 4th Lake Adirondacks. You know, big bass fisherman, got a boat, you know, put a couple engines in it. It's a good engine, good boat. So I'm up.
How's that engine running now?
Engine's running. Well, we haven't found out yet. I kind of filled the boat full of water again this year. This time from the top instead of from inside the engine. But that's a different story for a different podcast.
Different story.
I'm really
I'll
pretty optimistic. You know, I looked in there the other day and it looks dry, so that's a good sign. You know, there's no oil or anything. But anyway, we'll get into that later. So here I'll be painting the picture. It's a hot September day. I'm on 4th Lake, just trolling around, you know, just creeping around these little drop-offs, trying to
start.
Huh?
That's just because the boat wouldn't start.
Yeah, there was some fuel issues or whatever.
Just the fact that you started out that whole story with the way you did, I have a story for us when you're done.
Okay, I can't wait for this one. So I love my drop shot right now. I'm hooked on that. Been hooked on it for a few years. It's a fault of mine, and I keep using it. And so I'm coming around this point on this little island on 4th Lake, and you know you catch some fish in the lakes in the Adirondacks, but nothing huge. And I all of a sudden I set my hook on this. It just felt like a good fish, and I set my hook. It ended up being a 7.5 pound largemouth, and that thing was like, I mean, it fought like just a rock underwater. It didn't really fight that good, but I brought that thing into the boat, and I was shocked that it was the biggest fish I ever caught. I caught a sailfish one time. That should probably be my number one, but that was, you know, I'd pay for that. This one was free. And, you know, I actually kind of, whatever, cost me money. But that's this
things
fish.
in life are free, Bill.
Huh? Nothing in life is free?
No, the best things in life are free.
Oh, okay. So this bass I caught was free. That's why it was the best fish I ever caught. And it was awesome. So that forever changed my opinion on the Adirondacks. I never expected to catch big fish, especially big bass up there. But, you know, I'm pulling that out of 4th Lake. I was shocked. And that was an absolute tanker of a bass. And kind of kicked myself in the ass because you can, in New York State, you can, like, if you catch a fish between, like, the different species between a certain size range, you can kind of, like, self-report, like, a state record fish. Kind of like if it's a big buck club, but it's a little bit different because it's catch and release, but you can, like, self-report. I didn't do it. I should have. I have a picture, but I didn't do it. So,
Can you
All
mount?
right.
Can you
Do
mount?
you want to go?
yeah, I mounted it, and then I put it back.
Do you want to go on the record and say right now, like to the audience, that it was like a state record fish?
It was a state record. I did look, and it is in the top. You know, it's top 2. I'm just kidding. It's not top 2.
So
But
by
like
top
a 7.5
2,
largemouth is a
it's
good
state
at the-
record, or it's number 2.
7
No,
pound
it's
giant.
it's a huge fish. I put it back so somebody else could catch it. That's
Good job,
kind of how I looked at it. That thing stunk. I've never smelled a fish that smelled as bad as that thing. It was a skunky old bass.
Was
I
that
threw 'em
because
back.
you hooked it in the guts and it was pouring out?
No, I did not foul hook this, Kelber.
That's when they usually stick.
Did you hook this? One.
Listen. When I fish a drop shot, I cross the eyes, boys. And if you're a bass fisherman, you know what that means. Freaking cross the eyes.
Yeah, there was no foul hook there. I can vouch for that. It was a big
Jimbo,
old.
we were in a different boat that day. We didn't actually see where it got hooked.
He
That
knows.
Thompson was running good though. It was a good run, Thompson.
It was. You were running hot. Yeah.
We were running hot.
Zach,
Was this
what's your boat story, Zach?
All right, I'm not getting into like minute details because I don't know if I would get in trouble for this or not. But I was working.
You're a man of the law. You're not gonna get in trouble.
I was
Yeah,
working
you
as a
can-
police officer.
You can rest yourself, sir.
I have a buddy of mine who's DEC, and we're working together. I'll say the body of water is Redfield Reservoir, and we put a flat bottom boat, literally a flat bottom like Tracker Grizzly, something you would literally see like, any other weekend warrior in fishing for panfish in the water, and we were just looking for simple violations, registration, stuff like that, PFDs, and we. Anybody ever been on Redfield Reservoir? For one thing, anybody? No.
Only
Rose?
on a snowmobile.
Yeah, on a snowmobile.
So you know the islands and whatnot. You can go behind the islands.
Yeah.
It was one of the first bluebird days of spring. It was warm, probably 70-ish. Gorgeous day. We're like sitting there in this thing. We got our snacks out, our lunch. We're like, wow, it's super nice to be out, and it's not like 20. Come around a big cove. It's the first day that people are actually trying to swim a little bit. And we come around one of those islands. I look way ahead, about a quarter mile. I go, oh, there's a boat. Somebody fishing bass or something. Let's go check them out. And we get like 300 yards from that boat. And I'm looking. I'm going. I go, that dude ain't got no shirt on. He ain't got no pants on. He's on the back of his boat. And my buddy Matt, he's at New York State DEC, and we're going closer. And I'm like, something's not right. So we go like 40 yards of this boat, and this guy jumps off the back diving platform of his boat, and he jumps into the cabin of his boat. It's all open. There's nothing he can hide. And I'm like standing up, and I didn't know what to do. I'm looking at him and go, sir, you all right? You all right? I thought he fell for a minute. He's like, no, I'm good. And he's sitting there, and he's got a G-string thong on, and balls are just hanging out there in the wind. as much as everything's cool, and he's wrapping himself up, and I didn't know what to say.
Did you take your clothes off? That's what I would have done.
So he had a fishing pole, so we're like in the boat. So I thought he was fishing. Well, I start looking over. He's got like these 1980s Polaroid, the big square Polaroid glasses on there like this, and I'm looking at him, and dude looks like straight out of a mob movie. Not even gonna lie, literally looks like he's from Casino or the guy, that kind of movie. Slick back hair, he's doing his thing, pot belly on him. He's got this G-string on him. I'm looking at him, and when we were rolling up on him, he was moving all weird and shit on the back of the boat. And as we rolled up on him, I realized that he had some 1980, 90 Hustler magazines spread out through the whole boat in every direction of the boat. And as he's handing my buddy, who is an officer, his registration and his license, I then clicked on what he was moving and doing on the back of that boat in a vigorous movement, fast and jumping up and down and making some crazy motions. That was pretty awesome. I didn't know what to say.
He was feeding the geese, wasn't he?
He was feeding it. Didn't know what to say. He handed a license to my buddy, which he then dropped. And then we kind of
It was slippery, or why did he drop it?
picked it up with some paper and gave it back to him. And we then looked at each other, and I'm like, we need to leave. So we just pushed off, and I said, "Hey, brother, you have a good day. I ain't gonna bug you." And that was it. And that's what was that was kind of cool, I guess.
And he's been telling that story ever since.
Bluebird Day.
It works every time. Scares those cops away.
Bluebird Day, gorgeous out. I mean, he was doing his thing. I don't know what to say. I don't want to bother him. So we left. I'm like, hey, we got to leave right now. We got to get away from this. This is what we need to do. Yeah. And that's what that was.
You did the right thing, sir.
I thought so at the time. And I mean, the coolest thing was that they were literally the earliest Hustler magazines I've ever seen. I'm talking like way back when.
Good reading. Good recipes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good for him. Good for him.
You ever been to Pirates Weekend?
Oh boy.
I've heard a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yep. A lot of nice boats, I'll tell you. A
Yep.
lot of nice boats.
I feel like that was a great story to end this thing.
I think so too. Old man feeding the geese.
A bluebird spring day. Good for you, man. Good
Yeah.
for you.
Third spring day. Vodka clear water.
He looked like Robert De Niro from Casino. Not even gonna lie. He literally looked like he's from Long Island. Has a place up here. Whatever. Cool.
Oh, we got a new invite from Brad Godfrey. The Rock City Strut and Putt.
John Peterson just joined here on Facebook.
Johnny boy.
Johnny boy.
Johnny caught a big old walleye last year. I think he won some money. Somebody got bronchitis over there?
I love walleye. We need to do a walleye show.
We're gonna do a walleye show. How about that? How about it?
Gravel sharks.
So Brian just posted up the golf event they're gonna do. It's called the Strut and Putt. The Rock City Strut and Putt. It's in Spencerport in June. That's gonna be a freaking blast. Benefiting WTF. Alright. What does everybody say? Everybody good? I appreciate everyone's time. This has been awesome. Almost 3 hours. But it's been a fantastic conversation. Fun to get everybody together. Danny, I just want to say you did just incredible. Holding this thing together, giving us direction. You've come so far in such a short period of time.
Go away. Just start, finish. You let the ship.
He's asleep.
Yeah, Danny blacked out. We love Danny. He's gonna piss the bed tonight.
Or you are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna pee my pants right now is what I'm gonna
You're gonna piss the tent tonight.
do. Yeah. I should sleep in the tent tonight. That'd be hilarious.
Should use that synthetic bag.
Yeah, that's right. It'll dry out quicker. All right, folks. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And remember, keep feeding them. And put your life jacket on, and don't keep Hustler magazines around the cockpit of your boat.
Wash your hands.
Don't wear G-strings.
Or G-strings.
If
All right.
you're 300 pounds, don't do it.
If you're 300 pounds, it's all right. Nobody's going to give you any trouble. Thanks, boys.
Ciao, ciao.
Keep feeding them. Catch the big one tomorrow, Zach.
I'm going to try. I'll send photos.
Yes, please do.
Tag them.
See you guys soon.
See ya. Thanks.
Bye.
Feed 'em.